Adrian, we're doing it.
Jace.
What's happening, mate?
I'm here.
You here?
I'm here.
How's
Just,
the drive?
2 hours of hell.
Really?
No,
It's a war zone out there.
a few beaners on the road today, mate.
A few beaners, what's that mean?
People looking to die, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
In and out.
So what's news, mate? You've I got you on the potty because not only are you just one of my favourite people to be around and talk to, but you're like a cat in the sense that you've lived like 9 lives. Like we've had the military side, the monster side, the barefoot bushman, bow hunting animal side, and now the gym owner, protein brand. So I feel like there's just a lot to talk about with a guy like you.
Yeah, you know what? I have lived 9 lives. I probably lived more, actually.
Yeah, probably.
I got away with more than that in lives too, actually, I think. But no, it's been good, actually. From the military to, as a physical training instructor to, a few overseas jobs here and there and whatever. So it's been good. And then opportunity over in the States to head over there with a cell phone company, which was completely out of my realm, I guess. But no, came up good. And then opportunity over in the States, and then into a new world, I guess, that I hadn't seen. So it was good. And then and then Monster in 2008. I went to them, they came to me and knew that I'd been part of the brand for a long time, so helped them. I mean, I remember probably in the first instance, with Monster, and a lot of people don't know, it's part of Hanson's Beverage, which is obviously the big group, obviously separated from that group. But Hanson's Beverage was a company that, was basically in receivership, and then, so a couple of guys took it over, and as they took it over, they paid pretty low dollar for it, and then it was the beverage group and the juices and all the rest of it, and then it came up with Hanson's energy drink, which is Hanson was the 250 ml. They actually gave me about a pallet of it one day and said, just give it to Yamaha or Troy, who we were sponsoring at the time. Boost was sponsoring at the time, and I said, yeah, okay, no problem. I mean, we didn't have a sponsorship, and then it was free product and a bit of cash, and then Chad was running it and a few other guys, and then. So
I didn't know that Chad and them run Hanson's Energy through Yamaha or Troy. Yeah. What year would that have been? Like
that was 2000. No, that was in 2000 and that was 2003, 2004.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So Hanson's was on the front part of the fork guard, actually. They had a can on there. So they made it. It was a black can. Didn't really go well with the bike, I don't think. But at the end of the day, that was the only spot that they could probably afford at the time. And they were just sort of looking at the moto scene and thinking, this is probably a good area to be in. It was, the energy drink trade was basically, I think, around about 2000, 2002 became the new cigarette money, basically.
Yeah.
Because it was, a long time between drinks, between cigarette money and something else that actually could probably afford that high octane race section and race cars and enduros and all the rest of it, and that was where.
Why do you think that the cigarettes went so well with that community? Because like you'd see Marlboro in Formula One, and then we were actually talking about this on the phone the other day, and you said it's like the new cigarette money.
Yeah,
it made me think that that Winfield and all those companies were in motorsports, and then it's a really similar demographic to. The whole energy thing, but like if you backtrack, why did cigarettes go down that road?
You know what? I think it was aspirational, because cigarettes hadn't had the bad rap they did. I think back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I mean, cigarettes were given to people that had anxiety. A doctor would subscribe and say, "Mate, take up smoking," because you got too much anxiety. The cigarettes will help you out. I mean, even my mum. She had a few stressful moments. Take smoking up. That'll be good for you. This is back in the 70s, even back in the 70s. So I think the cigarette money associated itself with that cool, before the race, have a cigarette, calm your nerves. Outdoor, the Marlboro Man was a cool dude. He was rugged. He was strong. It was. That's the guy to aspire to be. Wear a country hat, and and it was around that scene, I think, and then. That high octane, but then I think everything changed because Red Bull, I mean, even from their early days, I mean, just being such a small brand, but then that Austrian significance of we're gonna build a drink that can vitalize you and get you going for the day and everything else, and that's what I think the action sports industry is. And there's not too many people sitting on the moto line drinking Monster and Red Bull. they're drinking water out of a Red Bull Monster container because, again, it's probably not the...
It's not really what's going to actually fuel you for a race environment. But
no, it's not going to fuel you for a race environment and, you know, the amount of caffeine and all the rest of it. But I think that it was just that new generation and people were grasping it really quick too. It was like, wow, all right, this is actually starting to happen. And, you know, Red Bull, I think, from a strategy perspective, you know, just had it out there and they had that kind of free reign in the US market, you know, from, you know, back in 97, 98. They had that free reign and they had that just put it in clubs and pubs and, you know, just see how it goes. They didn't really, I don't think, really start to push hard probably
like
until
hone in like a real brand identity like they have now. Because I mean, I do a lot of work for those guys, obviously, and it's like it's so tight and controlled and it's very, everything's super calculated with those guys.
It is.
And I think that, I guess maybe that's where once it switched from Hansen to Monster, Monster almost just did the exact opposite to Red Bull.
They did.
And tried to hit the other side of the coin.
They did. Yeah.
And it was super successful. Like
it was.
It
was. Yeah, it was a big change actually. It was, you know, looking at and even talking to Red Bull guys too. It was a plan. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do. And we're not going to deviate. This is how we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to roll out. And this is our price point. This is our marketing strategy. This is whatever.
Even the small can. It took a lot for them to go away from that small can.
Well, it was Monster that influenced Red Bull to switch up. Yep. And they're like, well, the volume game is here. And you need to compete. If you don't compete, you're not competing in the space anymore because Americans is bigger, better. Like whatever they can get. Yeah. I mean, whatever they can get. So... You know, it was interesting to watch the slide between 2004 and probably more 2007 actually through to about 2010 between Red Bull and Monster, I think, and market share, volume share, price share, all the rest of it. So, I mean, Monster had a strategy of, here's a pallet of Monster, take it out to the moto track. Yeah. And then it became identified as, that's just the... It's just like whatever let's just do whatever the fuck we want. Yeah. All right, and see what happens. You know, so there was no real. I mean, they had actually a strategy, and their strategy was not to be like Red Bull. Yeah, okay, that was their strategy. Yeah. Let's go do everything else that sets us aside from doing that. And that was the same sort of. If it was a cool idea, we should do that. Let's go do that. And as long as we're not going down to the polo and trying to compete down there with Red Bull, well, they didn't do that. So I think Red Bull and Monster, even though they compete for market share, they still got a very different strategy and where they are. I mean, Monster's obviously in Formula One, but they're not in the same way as what Red Bull is. No. I mean, Red Bull's on a completely different sort of scale.
Peak engineering, which is
very precise, very, very niche, very, look, if you go into a nice club and you want to, impress a chick, and this is without my Monster hat on because I'm, that's just what where I've been, I guess, not in the Red Bull side, but you're probably going to be with a 250ml can and be seen with that. Yeah. You're probably not going to slug on a big 500.
Yeah, It's so NASCAR, you know what I mean?
It is.
Like
but if you're going to go, but if you're going to go to State of Origin, you want to be whacking out a 500. Yeah. And you want to be mixing it up with whatever high octane situation it is, and that's what you probably want. So I think very, very different marketing strategies. And, look, when I come over here, it was exactly the same strategy. Adrian, here's a credit card, mate. See how you go. You know us.
Have a crack.
Have a go.
Throw some parties, get some people stoked.
You get some people stoked. Get some sampling teams out there. Just, allow for the budget for how many fines you're going to get for the next month because you're going to be in the wrong parking spot. You're in the wrong sampling spot. Council's not going to let you do this, and they're not going to let you do that. And that was that don't give a shit attitude that was kind of like, let's just go do that and see how much trouble we can cause and then see if we can get out of it.
Because in that space too, like no bad publicity is good publicity. No, it just didn't matter, eh?
No, it didn't matter. And I even remember sitting on a funny story, but Mark Hall, he's a great guy. I mean, Rodney Sachs and Mark Hall, both great guys. And he, Mark Hall looked after more of the strategy and the marketing aspect of Monster. He came from Arizona Iced Tea and came over with the, let's be, the strategy for Monster was double the size, the same price as Red Bull. That was the strategy. We're going to give twice the volume for the same price. So if people are looking at it, especially an American, I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, I get twice as much. So let's take the twice as much for the same price. Yep. Okay, so same amount of, more caffeine, more volume, more everything because per 100.
Big is better.
Yeah, big is better, and that's kind of how it was. But I even remember when we were looking for a distribution partner here in Australia, even though Coke distributed part of Monster in America and PepsiCo distributed it in Anheuser-Busch, and they're obviously a massive chain of distribution arms in the States. But, I went to Coke and they'd already put in so much money into Mother.
Right, because they own Mother, huh?
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, they got, you got Coca-Cola Company.
Because was V the biggest one in Australia?
Yeah, yes, in volume.
And who owned V?
So Frucor owns... So Frucor, and then they sold out to Centauri.
That was like its own little just full Aussie startup that just exploded.
New Zealand.
Was it New Zealand?
Yeah, New Zealand, yeah. So it was, they had the...
And they were the small can kind of deal.
They had the small can.
And they like barely marketed.
Nah,
really.
Yeah. I mean, they were very just it was the commodity of sitting there in a gas station. You need a bit of energy, and go to the fuel. And
it was like first to market almost,
That's
like
right.
against Red Bull, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Red Bull been here for a while, but I mean, I even remember V in bottles. I remember back in,
years ago.
94, you should have a V while you're driving, a bit of energy.
Yeah.
And that's what it was sort of, you looked at it as. And, but on a volume spin, I mean, still, I don't know what the stats are today, but I would still bet my bottom dollar that V is still the volume holder here in Australia. They would sell more volume here in Australia. Now, Red Bull's kind of always a bit of an unknown because, they're so big in the clubs and pubs, and that volume's never really known from a price share perspective. So, but, they'd be doing, probably 150, 200 million probably in, just clubs and pubs, in Australia. The business is over $1 billion industry in Australia. So, it's big news, and I think people underestimate. Well, they don't underestimate. The reason why Coca-Cola and PepsiCo and all the rest of it want to distribute that brand
because they just know the power of it.
Because really, soft drinks are going out the door.
Yeah, because you're drinking a soft drink nowadays, and there's so much information out there that they're just dog shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, we know Red Bull and Monster, and they've got similar sugar and everything, but at least you're able to pull something out of it if you're tired or need energy in form of that caffeine and Tirana or Guarana or whatever it is.
That's right.
So, I mean, at least you can kind of rationalize having a Red Bull or a V or a Mother or whatever from a purely functional standpoint. You really can't justify soft drink anymore.
Nah. Well, I mean,
the research is out there. It's done.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at soft drink for taste, and it's got sugar, but for the same dollar you can go and get 160 milligrams of caffeine and sugar if you want. You can go for a green Monster with sugar in it, same sugar as Coke. You can get the same sort of stuff. So the energy drink really offers so much more to the consumer. So and
it's like the lesser of two evils in a way.
Yeah, well, you kind of
know you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you're looking at Ultra, you're looking at sugar-free, you're looking at all these things with Red Bull and Monster and all this. All right, well, there's no sugar, so that's cool. But there's caffeine. Tastes all right. Oh, we're going to have one of those. So, the soft drink trade in itself has been, from a volume side and even from a pushing out, is been on the downfall for a static and downfall now for the last probably 9 years. So, it's not getting any better for them. So they're actually having to buy into other brands, distribute other brands, because, Coca-Cola has a massive distribution arm in Australia. But why not make $5, $10 off of distributing a case of Monster, then losing that market share due to, so their dollars are going up. They might be losing market share, but their dollars are still coming in to support, the company. So everyone's looking for the new answer. When it comes to beverage, everyone's looking for the new answer, and that is, what else do we need to be in? The healthiness of things are going up. Protein in itself is going up. Like, people are looking at, okay, what do I want? What do I need? And people are a lot more careful with, I think, their what they're buying now. They want to see it. They want to, what am I getting? What's healthy? If we're
gonna draw a comparison between the cigarette industry and the energy drink or soft drink industry, can you see a point where soft drink and energy drinks are regulated in a similar way that cigarettes are, or do you just think that's too far? I think they're not going to be able to do it. I think there's the beverage companies have an obligation to make sure that the warnings are there. They have an obligation to make sure that it's not I guess advertised in the wrong way, and the warnings and all the rest of it. Red Bull's super cautious about kids. Yeah, they are. That's a huge. even like from our video production side, if a kid looks like he could be under 16, we can't use the shot.
No, that's right. And you know what? And Monster sees that as probably more of a...
I think it's just a legal cover your ass.
Yeah, it is. And I think Monster and Red Bull are basically in the same sort of line, I guess, there. But like, what they're looking... You know, where Monster has actually captured a great market is that the kids look at Monster as their drink, whereas they look at Red Bull as their dad's drink.
Yeah, right.
Because the generation that's come through from 96, 97, 98, that generation is my age. Okay, so I was the Red Bull era. I'm the, you know, that and whatever. So, but if I'm going to look for something outside what my dad's having, well, Monster's the new cool thing. That's what I want, because I want to be like that. And I want to be extreme. I want to be everything else. And, you know, and that's where Monster's really captured that. You know, they've got the volume, they've got the, you know, that probably youth aspect, but Red Bull's not going away, and they never will, because
first to market, man. Like when
they're very precise.
Like you look at like GoPro. There's so many spin-offs of a GoPro camera, but they were the first to market. Right. So anyone that's uneducated could be like, this is where Sony. That's like Sony tried to come in. They're everywhere. They're one of the biggest brands, and in terms of brand recognition, they're one of the biggest brands on the planet. And they couldn't get past that stigma of like, oh, that's a GoPro. No, that's a Sony action cam.
Oh, well, I don't want that.
I don't want. Isn't it just a GoPro? So, and Red Bull has that same sort of thing. They're like, even if someone buys a Monster, they're going to go, oh, I'm just going to stop for a Red Bull. And then you see on the shelf, there's, you don't really hear the term like, oh, I'm going to get a Monster or going to get a Rockstar. It's Red Bull, Red Bull vodka.
Well, that's right. I mean? Well, that's what I mean. And that's exactly
Red Bull
what it is.
vodka was massive.
Huge.
Like that is such a...
Massive. And that's the thing too. You know, even at clubs and pubs, you'll find, oh, you know, can I grab a Coke? Well, we don't have Coke, we have Pepsi. It's the same thing. It's like, I want a Red Bull vodka, or we have Monster.
We've got Monster. Yeah, that'll do.
That'll do.
Same
whatever.
thing.
Yeah. But people have that reference to a name, and that's the name. You know, it's the same as Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's like a Bessa Block.
That's right. Yeah. It's like, well, there's 5 brands of Bessa. Well, I just want a Bessa Block. You know, like, who is Bessa Block?
Well, it's Boral. There's, you know what I mean? There's all it's like, oh no, just give me. I just want a Bessa Block.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's, you know, that you know, that's what I mean. The brand itself, and you know, even the quirky ads that Red Bull do, they're just
I don't get them, to be honest.
Well, I don't either. But you know what? We still talk about them.
The whole gives you wings thing. I get. But yeah, the ads, I'm just like, it's such a weird character.
Oh, I think everyone's having a few cones and they're just
creatives.
Creatives. I think they're just sitting there writing some stuff. Oh, well, this would be kind of funny. We should just throw that into the mix, because it actually goes against.
It goes kind of against the brand in a way.
I mean, they're clean videos and the Red Bull TV and all that, how it's edited. I mean, it's so clean. Then there's that.
You couldn't get further away from Formula One with those ads, eh? But again, it's the same as a company like, you know, Boost is, you know, Boost Mobile in America is quite white Anglo-Saxon marketing. I mean, it's surf, skate, snow. Not that they're white brands, but it's that action sports is predominantly been that way. It's been that way, right? So, but you know, probably 80% of their consumers are, you know, are not, or they're African American, or they're Hispanic, or they're whatever, because it's that prepaid. That's because you go in and you can't get a plan if you don't have a social security number.
That's right. So you get a Boost, you know, prepaid card. That's right. So, but again,
or if you're a drug dealer, you just want to get one.
Perfect phone.
Yeah, you want to get one in and out.
Yeah, and that's you know, but again, they didn't change their marketing strategy. They knew their market. They might have varied off of it, but 70% of the time they kept true.
I wonder why they wouldn't. There's obviously a reason for it, but I wonder why you wouldn't switch your marketing. I guess it then stigmatizes the brand as opposed to the.
Well, you got to be very. I think you got to be very careful with your brand. Is even though you might skew off, you've got to stay true. Otherwise, you're always going to chase your tail. You know, because if then all of a sudden the switch happens and it goes back another way, all right, well,
then you got to readjust.
Well, you got to readjust all the time. You're constantly flip-flopping. But if you just keep it true, and the people that are buying your brand are buying it regardless whether it's because of the marketing or cheap or whatever, well, who cares really? That's your staple. That's your icon. Your icon's your marketing, and you go, okay, well, we're just going to keep that. Now, I think with your marketing, you always have to have that 20 to 30% leeway based on of change, of you know, social change, whether it be economic change, whether it be whatever. You've got to have that aspect of change, and you've got to be willing to do it as well. Some people aren't, and that's why they get left behind. You know, like Canon, Sony. You know, when the phone technology itself came strong, and the cameras were getting better, the sound was getting better, everything. They didn't shut their doors. They went, okay, what do we need to do and stay ahead of this? We need to Bluetooth from our phone, from our camera. We need to have screens. GoPro, we need a screen on our GoPro. We need to be able to have that visual aspect. People they don't want to wait. They want to see it instant. Like gratification is.
You're not going to go back to your laptop and plug it in and.
No one's going to do that anymore. So
and that's like Adobe now is making like Lightroom apps so that you can edit photos on your phone with like really good Lightroom apps. So it's like we were talking about this the other day because I was reading something on the news where they said there's now $1.10 levy for Ubers because the taxi industry is struggling. It's like fucking evolve or die. The internet is coming for everybody.
I know. Well, and
it's the same with like that sort of technology, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But if you're an old cab driver and you're going, I'm struggling, buy a fucking iPhone, get the Uber app, and buy a Toyota Corolla. If Uber's making more money than your taxi, get out of your shitty taxi, man. Like,
and you got and you got your authentics out there, and it's not gonna. It's a fad. It ain't no fad.
The internet is what's like here.
That's
you know what I mean?
But you know, it's not Uber isn't. They're here to stay. They're not going anywhere
because they made it better. How shitty of an idea is it to like stand in? Have you like if anyone has ever been in a taxi line in Las Vegas? You've got to just stand there and go, well, this system's fucked. Yeah,
like, let's bite the bullet and sit here and just do that. Or
I'm going to call I'm going to get a cab. Like I don't want to hope I want to get a cab. Like,
I want to know I'm getting one.
Yeah, last trip to the States, we drove to Vegas. Yeah. That night before, I booked my Uber to be at my door at 8 o'clock. Yep. And I set my alarm and then the Uber was just there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they're relying on that as an income.
And I don't have to make a phone call. I don't have to do, I set it as I set an alarm on my phone. Yeah. Like that just made, because the thing is like I guess the taxi people, they have it backwards like, oh, you got to get in our taxi. It's like, mate, you're my service.
Yeah, that's right. Like, and that's their biggest fault. Like, I mean, the taxi industry right now is racing hard right now to catch up. They're not. They needed somebody in there developing to keep it. Yeah.
What's the classic blockbuster Netflix?
Of course it is. How many blockbusters went busted within about a year?
All of them. Yeah.
There was like a last man standing. There's not even one on the Sunshine Coast. You can't even find a video store now. So, you know, that's what I mean. If you're not on the crest, or if you're not at the start of that wave and you can't see it, it's like, you know, Bitcoin, it's like all these things, right? I was part of the same scheme in 1991, you know, with the plane game. It was called a plane game. I had 12 mates, said, let's all put in $200. I'm going to be the captain. You're all going to give it to me. And then before I can fly, you got to find another 6 mates down the bottom to fly me out. And they're like, well, that's a fucking good idea. We should do that. All right, well, have you got 6 mates? Yep, they can get 200. Yep, okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, now I'm flying. I just made myself some cash.
So how does this work? Explain this.
Well, so you have 12 people.
Yeah.
I'm at the top. You have 12 people. I sit there. I put in my $200, $2,400. So everybody puts in $200. As soon as you get the $2,400, you raise it. The man at the top, who's the captain, he flies. He's out. He's made $2,400. In order for the next person to get up to the next level, you got to bring in friends to bring in another $200. So as soon as the plane is full, you've raised your $2,400, and he gets to fly away. And then whoever flies away puts in another $200 to keep supporting the plane. So you make sure the plane's always full. And the only reason it doesn't work is when you can't find any more mates.
Yeah.
So whoever's left on the plane when you got no more mates, they get screwed $200.
Yeah, right.
But if everyone keeps coming around for more goes, you just keep fueling your own money. So it works. It's the same as Bitcoin, right? So it's exactly the same philosophy, is that you keep putting in, and the more people that keep doing it, you know, your price keeps going up. Just drives the value. But is that sustainable? Well, clearly. I mean, it's working right now. But you don't want to be, you know, in the 90%. You want to be in the 10% where it's an idea.
Yeah.
That could work. Why not? This is the way society's going. We're going cashless. You know, so that might be another good option as well. But that's the same as everything at the moment. It's I think that doesn't change too much. Obviously, is probably food and a few other things. But when it comes to technology, you need to embrace it. When Axel gets a new app on his phone, I get the same one. I need to understand it. I need to know what he's on, what he's doing, what's on his phone, how it works. I need the password. I need everything because I need to make sure that I'm current all the time. You know, because if you're not current, you get left behind. Doesn't matter what you do. So I think it's a natural sort of.
Like, there's probably a lot of things where you could sit and say, like, fuck, we should not go in this direction. But it's the nature of the beast. Like,
of course it is.
Because we've been evolving since day one.
Yep.
And, like, that's the human condition, is to evolve.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you create technology. And now it's like, well, then that's just a part of the human condition. And like, that might be not a great thing that we started doing, but you start on that road and then that's just, it's a ball of this human condition that is evolution. And it's going to be, it's physical. You know, you see people that are breaking 100-meter sprint records that are doing, you know, the Tour de France, and then the Olympics is always pushing weightlifting. But so there's the physical side, and then there's this technology side. Like, it's just a part of the human condition. And I think like a big part of it too is as soon as we figured out how to not die every day. Of like, as soon as we figured out, like, we're sitting in a room where no wolves can come and fuck us up. As soon as we figured that out, like, that freed up so much time of mental equity that then we could put into like, well, how do we make this experience on Earth better? All right, now we're not going to die anymore from wolves or whatever. It's like, so let's just make it a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit. It's just
it's the nature of the beast, and I think it's, you know, you've got to be on that crest, and you've got to make it happen. And if you don't, you get left behind. It's the same as anything. It's the same as companies, same as, you know, you've got to look for a hole, and you got to go capture that hole, and that's basically what I do and try to do with my own things. You know, whoever thought you could do a backflip on a motorbike?
Yeah, exactly.
When I was on a CR250 in 1992. There's no way I would have ever thought that was possible. I thought doing a nose wheelie was cool. You know, or staying on the back wheel for a couple of Ks or whatever. But I mean, now they've got double.
And then there'll be a triple.
Then there'll be triple.
Like, we had Harry Binkin here yesterday. He does a front flip. He grabs onto the seat with both hands, and then he lets go, and then he grabs it again, and then he keeps flipping, and then he lands on the fucking ground. Yeah,
but that's, again, if someone does something like it, then people know it's possible. So
what's that whole mile thing?
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
right. Quarter mile.
Yeah. Well, you know what is it? The 4 minute mile?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mile?
Yeah. 4
minute mile.
Yeah.
And then it took like how many years to get it done? And then
it said that it would never be breakable.
Yeah, never get done. As soon as it got done, I think it was in like a month. 3 people did it again.
Yeah, that's right.
Because all of a sudden there's that.
Yeah,
barrier.
There's a mental drive. It's like, all right, we can actually do this. It's been done. You know, Pastrana. I mean, I still remember watching that. You know, and just going, what?
Yeah.
You know, did that just happen?
What gets me, and like me and Harry were talking about this yesterday, and I was just like, dude, the pressure of sitting on top of that ramp, about to roll in, with just the full consequence of death staring you in the face. Like the type of person that it takes to do that. And I mean, I would sort of I feel like maybe the only other place you'd find that is war.
Yeah, well, I tell you,
because you leave knowing that you can die.
You can die. Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean,
you've experienced that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, you do, and I think it's the same with, you know, hunting around Australia by myself for, you know, 3 months and whatever. It was, you know, I had a plan not to survive on anything that I didn't hunt for myself. That was the goal, and you know, apart from a few fresh veggies here and there and whatever. But I tell you what, when you want to put your mind and you want to put your body to the test, don't have a cell phone and go out into the bush and see if you can go and find yourself, and then go and try and live as well. You know, I obviously do a lot of bow hunting and stuff, but you know, watching a 110 kilo pig go around a dam that, you know, I'm gonna hit that, but if I don't, I'm probably piss it off. And there's no trees around, and they can go like shit. You know, you put yourself in that mindset. You're like, I really got to probably concentrate on this and see if I can actually manage this. You know, or if you don't have any food left, like I always had enough water, but I always made sure that what I was cutting, like back straps or whatever that I do, and I'd eat and all the rest of it, I would be, this is what I'm going to survive on. But I never carried more meat than I'd eat probably in a 2 or 3 day. So you knew in 2 or 3 days you're probably going to have to hunt again. Yeah. So, but when you put yourself up against those type of challenges, you really, you know, find a fair bit about yourself as well. You know, so I think it's I think it's like you say. Have you ever done anything, or have you ever been in a situation where that sort of life and death situation? I was under no life and death because I had water, all right, and you had a hunt, and I had a bow and everything else. So
but it didn't mean it wasn't hard.
No, it doesn't mean it wasn't hard, but you still, for someone physically and mentally to be able to do that, you got to put yourself in a different place. Yeah. And to as you said, Pastrana, to actually sit there, it's the same, and I put it at a completely different scale. And I ride moto and stuff myself, but doing 100-footer triple that if you come up short, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
But doing that is exactly that same feeling, but you're talking about a whole nother scale.
Yeah,
like
and then you're doing it on live TV.
Yeah.
You've got millions of people.
And you got your mum crying.
Yeah.
Because she's looking at you going, if you don't make this,
why bother?
Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
I have to sit here and physically be sick watching what you're about to do.
Especially when you're like a Travis Pastrana, that he was making millions from when he was like 14, 15.
That's right.
You don't need to do this, Travis. No. Like, that would be the argument that...
I would have loved to him just to stay healthy and ride moto.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching him ride moto.
But again, that like we said about progression. It's like he started.
Well, he was the first thing.
Yeah,
he was the first thing.
This thing, and then it was just like, I'm taking this to the end.
I know, and then you had your Metzgers, and then you had all your, you had all these guys, the Degans, and all that sort of stuff. And then, you look at what they do. You go back to the X Games, back in 2003, 2004, and look at the X Games today. I mean, they're not even comparable. They really aren't. Not to say what they were doing wasn't any less. It was just what was happening at the
ground
at the time.
That was being broken.
The broken, yeah. I mean, Metzger was, just backflip after backflip. I mean, that was just the craziest thing people had ever seen.
And that was the time before foam pits and things like that. Where
exactly.
It was just like
it was
dirt.
That's right. You go out there and try a trick for the first time without a foam pit. See how you go. Yeah, you're probably not going to do it.
And that's like when Kerry Hart was doing the backflip for the first time, right? There was no foam, there was no nothing. And then, we can sort of, the time that people see the backflip is on live TV when he's trying it for the first time or whatever.
Yep.
But what they don't see, and there's something to gain there. There's worldwide fame, there's that whole, but what they don't see is like the months before that where no cameras are there.
Yeah,
when
that's
it's just
right.
him and
exactly.
him, a bike and the ground.
Yeah.
Just trying to work this thing out.
Yeah,
so
well,
the
even
drive that it takes to do that. It's just full on.
Oh yeah, no, it is, and just to watch that as well, just to watch him going up the side of a down ramp, trying to loop it out, like it was, even though he didn't make it, that one of the times that he did that was still impressive.
That was the 4-minute mile.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's like, shit, he nearly landed that.
Yeah,
he just, he fell off the back of it and all the rest of it. But I tell you what, that was pretty
done,
close.
Yeah, he got it around.
We're going to do that. It's the same as, 1080s, same as everything, skateboarding, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
With
Tony Hawk. Yeah, with the 900. It's like, all right, this can be done. Someone's done it, and it's going to be done again. I mean, that actually took a long time to be actually mastered by anybody else.
Yeah.
When Hawk did that. So I mean, it was pretty crazy. But I mean, even your Dane Reynolds and your air specialists. I mean, Bruce Irons and. Was probably leading that charge back in the day as well. He loved to do big air. He didn't want to compete. He was actually a pretty crappy competition type
competitive surfer, yeah.
But a free surfer, a freak.
Yeah.
Absolute freak. Tell him it's not a competition and tell him to go up against anybody. And the guy was a absolute genius. You know, even back in the early 2000s, same as Andy. I mean, Andy was just headstrong mentally, a little bit stronger. But I was fortunate always to know Andy very well.
Andy really well.
Yeah. Well,
how'd that come about?
It was just through sponsorship, so through Boost and through a few other things that we sponsored him and all the rest of it. But we actually, we weren't like bros, but when I was in Hawaii, we always go out for dinner and with his family and Bruce and all the rest of it. So it was a good friendship. It was the same as Dorian and Sonny. Sonny's like a really good mate of mine. We used to moto together.
Yeah, he loves moto.
Yeah, he loves his moto, and when I was in Vegas, we went to Vegas in 2004 or whatever it was, 5. We were in Vegas every 2 months, but I actually went there with Axel's mum, and we were there to actually get married and look for a place to get married. We ended up getting married that night, and Sonny actually organised the whole wedding, so it was pretty crazy. So he just said, we were in a strip club, and
so I was fucking do it.
let's just get married. When we do it, I said, you can't do it right now. It's crazy. And he said, no, we'll do it. He says, I'll get it organised. I'll get limos. I'll get everything. We'll get this Whitechapel Bell place down the road, and we'll go smash it out. So he sat there as my best man. You know,
that's so classic, eh?
But we had all the boys there, a lot of the moto boys, a lot of the surf guys, and it was just a hell of a night. Woke up about 10 o'clock the next morning, and we both looked at each other and said, we actually got married. So we actually had to go down to the courthouse and verify it too. So it was kind of funny. So that it was actually legal. Yeah, legit. Yeah. So it wasn't one of those, Vegas things that you do. So it was pretty crazy actually. But yeah, Sonny's he's not allowed back in our country at the moment. But
why not? What did he do?
Oh, he slapped around one of the surfers in the beach and calling assault and all that sort of stuff. So Stone was over with him at the time, and
he probably dropped in on him.
Yeah, well,
etiquette, mate. God, he's not that wrong.
Well, it was actually on Stone, I think. Last time I talked to Sonny, it was actually on Stone, and they were giving him shit and whatever. And Sonny came over and said, pull your head in, nigga, whatever, and ended up in a small altercation. It was nothing really major, but because it was Sonny, old mate jumps on the bandwagon.
Make a big deal.
It's on the news, and then everyone's got cameras and they're filming and this and that and whatever. So, yeah, it takes a little bit, but no, he loves his moto, and hopefully I'm going to try and catch up with him one day, but won't be here in Australia.
Yeah, so. In Hawaii or whatever.
Yeah, but actually I'm sending him over our protein and stuff as well at the moment. So yeah, he's a good bloke. He's one of the.
He's one of the old school.
He's very old school. Yeah. He's all about the, that fluency of surfing that hard cutback, that hard push.
Like the power hack.
He's the power hack. It's about how big that fantail is. You know what I mean? That's just what he is. So. For him, I think he actually appreciates what they do, but he does obviously love his, he never went into that new era. That's just not who he was. He's probably the last of the actual real power surfers out there, really. That's actually still surfing. So, and he can, and he can throw it still. So, he's probably actually the lightest he's been in.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, he just sort of found this whole fitness thing.
He did. Yeah.
And
he needed a change.
Yeah, really, like, I feel like that extended his career by
it did.
X amount of years.
Yeah, it did. He was probably carrying 10 kilos too much,
Yeah.
And dropping that and being fit, flexibility, agility, everything helped his surfing out dramatically. I remember talking to him when he was in Fiji last time, and he said he's probably surfing better than he's ever surfed in a long time. So, the way he surfs, obviously. But yeah, but I don't know. I think it's, what the best thing is it's enjoyable to watch the evolution of what we're in right now. Yeah. It makes me wonder where it all stops, because
I just don't think it does.
Well, it was like Bubba. I had the pleasure of just watching that guy when he first started on that 125.
Yeah,
and it was another level. It was not.
It's not Ricky even like it was a step above. It was something new.
It was a completely new style. It was a completely new way to ride. It was a completely new way to actually hit a jump at full speed and keep as low as you can, as fast as you can, and still hold the same speed from the start of the jump to the end of the jump. And that's what it was really about. But it was to watch him go through Glen Helen and coming down the rift up the top there, and to watch that up against Ricky. And Ricky was an amazing rider, probably one of the greatest riders of all time, but he just was so much more out of control than Bubba. Bubba was out of control, and when it went wrong for Bubba, it went really wrong. But Ricky was riding on the edge of the whole time. Yeah. But when Bubba had it right and he had a good day, it was the fastest thing you've ever seen. That 125 of his actually couldn't go any fast.
Yeah, he's probably the only dude ever to ride a bike to its complete maximum potential 100%. That it could not go any faster around that track. No. Like, that's super rare.
Yeah. Oh, it's very rare. And I even remember when Chad, the evolution of the four-stroke on the 250. Chad was the first real, him and Craig Anderson were really the pioneers, I think. Yeah, on the Yamaha Troy. And, the thing was a bitch if it stopped. If it was hot, you just couldn't start. Wouldn't start. But if you could keep them on and, watching Chad and them get off the start, it was almost unfair because, it was just so much torque to the ground. But the 125 was just so much lighter. So you kind of had that, that equal toss-up. But, Chad could pull you know, on the uphills, he could pull through some soft sections and all the rest of it. But then Bubba, just if it was hard pack and it was just there, I mean, Bubba had to work extra hard, but it was, you know, the race was on, you know, always because of that torque and that, you know, that different amount of power. But, you know, I think it's a shame, you know, it's actually cost Bubba, I think, his career with the way that he sort of rode as well, because you can't ride at that intensity for that amount of years and not have those big get-offs. I mean, the amount of, when you've seen his, I mean, look at the favourite reels on YouTube of his crashes. I mean, they're almost horrific.
There's this crazy thing that Malcolm and James have, because I don't know if lucky enough is the right word. Like, I was going to say I've been lucky enough to deal with them. Like, I've
dealt with them a lot too, so
but,
I don't know whether it's luck.
Yeah, but it's a privilege to see James ride in person.
Yep.
And some of the film stuff I got to do with him, like,
yep.
I got to film him in like 1,200 frames per second,
yep.
dragging his front brake lever up a jump.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just like, you drop the mic. Like, what else can you film after that as a filmmaker? And
yeah.
so I was lucky in that sense. And the fuck around that comes with all the rest of it is not that lucky. But I've seen those dudes just get absolutely just poleaxed in crashes, and then just do the old...
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Just brush them. Like, they are just got... They've got steel for bones, man.
Oh,
what cost
unreal.
James was the head knocks.
Yeah, it did.
Because no matter what your calcium level is in your bones and how strong your ligaments are, your brain is...
Yep.
You can't fuck with your brain.
No.
And he's just had a lot of head knocks. But
No.
it's sad for me on the Stewart thing is that it's almost like they thought they were more famous than what they were. So they would try and they pulled away like a celebrity would, right?
Yeah.
So they pulled away like they were sure, or you know what I mean? This like intense pressure and this intense. And like, if James Stewart walks down the street, like you might get one or two dudes being like, "Hey man, can I get a photo?" But you're not Justin Bieber.
No.
And I think that there was this condition that they had with people around them, and these like yes men and these. I think, you kind of get these athletes, and then you get these hanger-oners and these friends, and they want to justify a position in their life.
Oh, of course they do.
They want to justify like a 50 grand salary just for hanging out.
Yep.
And with that comes like, no, don't talk to James, or they're doing the paparazzi stuff. And you're just like, dude, and then it starts. So then, you know, you get James starting to believe that he needs that and that he is more famous than he is.
That's
and
right,
and he got a complex of this like attention, because he's a super reclusive dude. It's just sad to see like he's holed up in this house in Orlando.
It's just
like, so I don't even think it was as much injuries that affected his career as it was just this weird mental state that people created around him.
He had a lot of weird people around him too, actually.
Yeah, super.
You know, the people that were around him, I mean, there was really, you know, Senior was just hard to deal with.
Yeah, he's a different character.
He's very hard to deal with, and I think that, you know, he needed that control to manage his boys. He needed that I got to look after him, and I think as a father, that's what you do. You got to respect that. I think that's fair enough. But when you're making it hard for people to get to somebody, they don't want to deal with it. Doesn't matter how good you are, and you know what? You're only as good as your last result.
It's crazy that like Malcolm can win a championship and then not have a ride.
No, I know. That's exactly right, because
it's not like, because you can't ride a bike, bro.
No.
You know what I mean? Or there's no rides there. There's rides there. Brock Tickle got signed to Red Bull KTM.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you're a better rider than Brock Tickle in the talent sense. Brock's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put Brock and Malcolm on a starting line or a thing and say, let's go one lap pure speed, or can you hit these whoops? And that he's not holding a candle to Malcolm.
No.
But he's good to deal with. He's respectful. He's a nice guy.
And you know he's going to be there every week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
and he's going to show up. He's going to listen. He's going to give good feedback. He's going to get a good bike set up. He's going to have his mechanic's going to be happy and not stressed. He's, and that's how it is. And I think that, that mechanic rider situation. I mean, I was around moto a long time, and I used to you used to look around and you used to go, if you just had someone that told you one day, pull your fucking head in, mate.
Yeah, there's not that around him, is there? It's like, and then there's like one of the guys that is famously around James. Like I'd just be like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Paggio.
No, I was talking to someone else.
Oh, right.
No. But I don't mind Padge.
No, I like Padge too. Padge he's been there right from the word
circle,
go.
Yeah. But yes, and I'm just like, man, you got to just tell these fucking guys.
I know.
And then he's like, what do you want me to do, man? I was like, be the dude that you're supposed to be.
That's
like,
right,
are you in charge? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, and I think that the guys that actually do the best are the guys that, I think as a father, and if you're going to manage your kids, and if it was anything that I would say out to fathers out there, have a look at the fathers too that manage it. They didn't do anything for themselves. You know, if you've got a father that's actually been in a sport and he knows what it takes, and they're good to have by your side.
Yeah.
But they've also got to relinquish a little bit of, control, because dollars don't come in by themselves. You've got to make yourself accessible. You've got to make yourself reasonable to talk to. You've got to make yourself. You got to have a good operator beside you to actually get that. The biggest bang for your buck, because you've got a career of maybe 6 to 10 years in moto if you're lucky. I mean, Chad's obviously been really fortunate, and he's been healthy. He's always he's a great rider, but he's always placed. He's always been up there, and he's physically done very well as well. But to actually get the biggest bang for dollar, and look, I always use Casey as an example for that.
Yeah.
Stoner could have made a lot more money.
Yeah.
A lot.
He left some
money
on the table, didn't he?
He left a lot on the table. And look, I love Casey. I think he's a great guy. But at the end of the day, I used to look at his worth and how he used to ride a motorcycle. And I used to just think to myself, bloody hell, you could be making a lot more money if it wasn't for the way things had probably been handled a lot of different ways, And I was fortunate enough to be around Casey a bit as well in my time. But you look at your group that you surround yourself, you really got to have that, someone financially looking after you.
Weird. Yeah, like it can get very, it's just that people lose touch. And I think that, you get like a man-friendly kind of guy, or like an advisor, or even like management that, I think, and like you see this everywhere though, like it's just, it's how it is. I guess it's just amplified, but people that want to have input to justify their position.
That's right, yeah.
And it happens I deal with it all the time when it comes to like video revisions, when I'm like doing videos for people.
Yep.
Then I submit something that I think is great,
yep.
and they hired me because I do the video, like I make a video.
Yep.
And then I get some guy that doesn't know anything about videos going, I think you should change this. And then you slowly start to see these email chains get bigger with more people, because more people just want to have their input. Because when your quarterly review comes along and they're like, oh, what did you do? And you're like, well, I was across this, I was across this, I was across that. So you get a guy with, in like an athlete's position, and then they're trying to be like, oh man, I had like 40 phone calls today, and like I didn't even put them through to you because it's just all nonsense. Like I, took up a bit of time, but I've got you back, bro. I'll take care of these emails, or I'll drive your motorhome around for you. You don't have to worry about it, man. And then slowly the motorhome driver becomes a financial advisor, and he becomes a dietitian. He's
a nutrition guy.
Then
he's the exercise guy.
And it's like people just trying to justify these roles, and then it just balloons to the point where it's like, they're putting this guy in a bubble.
I know, and that's true. I mean, and I think it's natural for people to do that. But I think if you're gonna,
but it's in their own interest, not the athletes.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's, WMG and Astafin and Bobby and all those boys I used to talk to. Look, they're like used car salesmen. Like they're trying to get the dollars, but at the end of the day, they're going to get you more money than you ever probably would have seen. So you got to take the good with the bad, a lot of the time, Steve, I've had my blow-ups with Steve and a lot of times, but you know what, at the end of the day, we still respect each other, we still get along, we still talk to each other. Does he want too much money? Yeah. Is he worth it? Probably not, but do you want to pay it? Yeah, well, that's kind of what it's worth, you know what I mean? So you got to sort of take that good with the bad, and I think with a lot of times, but the guys that go out on their own and say, no, Dad's got it, they just don't have the horsepower behind them to actually be able to get what you actually need to do that.
You're paying for a phone book.
You are.
Really?
You are. You're paying
like
for
Steve can
context.
Call anyone.
Anybody. Say, I got this idea. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. So.
And it's all like you love basketball? You want some Lakers floor seats?
That's right.
I'll make a call.
I got those.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll keep you on our payroll.
The thing with the dads thing is that like it's not just in sport, it's in life.
Of course it is.
Like, and I just think that when you get athletes, and so look at like Michael Essie, for example.
Yep.
That's probably the example of like
Prime
a dad.
example. Yeah.
So he's the term moto dad was probably invented around Michael Essie, and it becomes this thing where it's amplified because it's across sport, but in real life, you see kids, you can go to any motocross track, and then dad's driving them to the races because that's the only way they can get to the races. And then you've got, all of a sudden your kid gets your license and then he wants to go to the track by himself. There's a natural thing in life where your kids fly the coop.
Yep, that's right.
The problem is in sport, is when you get that to that point where your kid wants to fly the coop, that's essentially when he's on a factory team. It's like, all right, Mitch Payton's got this, Bones has got this. These guys that have won all these championships, they've got this.
They've got it, yeah.
They've done this forever. Yes, you've raced with your kid for X amount of years and you know your kid and blah, blah, but this is now different.
Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
And it's just the same as like, you know, you get driven to school every day when you're a kid by your parents. Yeah. And then when you're 17, maybe you get your license in year 12 and you start driving yourself. And then you start driving yourself to uni, and then you start driving yourself to your job. That's how the world should work.
Yeah, that's right.
And you get the Michael Essies of the world, they still want to fly with their kids to the motocross track when they're 28, 29 years old.
Yeah, well, I think...
the problem is money too, because
that's right.
Michael Essie spent a lot of money to make Michael Essie who he is.
That's right.
But and I mean that's got to be a weird deal when and I know like Villapoto had that falling out, Millsaps had that falling out, because they're making millions.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they're like, well, I'm the one riding the bike. Yeah. But there is that investment that's like it's
well,
a
and
tricky deal.
And that was probably my next point, which is a good point. It's okay. If Dad didn't give up his career if Dad didn't sell his house, we wouldn't be at moto.
For sure.
If Dad didn't take us to the races, we wouldn't be at the moto. So it's almost like this you know, actually WMG do all right with this sort of type of stuff, and that is you're about to sign your first contract with Honda. You're going to get 1.2. You're going to get 800 bonuses up to 600, 700, whatever you're going to get, right? Don't need Dad around anymore, but Dad's still going to get paid. Yeah. Dad's going to get paid. He's given up and sacrificed, so here's your 100 Gs, Dad. Don't need your input. Want your support as a father. Don't need your support as a racer anymore, all right? But I still need you. You're my dad. You've done everything for me, and your clean cut is going to be 100 Gs. There it is. That's what I'm going to give you. And if you want to come to the races, come to the races. Come and support me now as a father. You've supported me as a father. You've supported me as a racer. You've done everything. But now I'm at the next level. I need people that I can actually
what's just that experience too.
Yeah.
That like,
that's right.
Yep, they've done this now. This is a different thing. This is for all the marbles.
A whole different thing. Yep. Whole different ball game. Whole different. And I think actually moto's probably one of the biggest ones, because it doesn't happen in soccer really. It doesn't. I mean, because they're under a coach straight away. Whereas with moto, you are the coach. Dad's got the old.
He's the coach. He's the mechanic. He's the trainer. He's the nutritionist.
Food. He's got everything, right. So you got one guy thinking he knows what the hell he's doing with suspension, but it might not be the right feedback. But Bones is. You just talk to Bones and say, mate, it's a bit right. Oh, got it.
He knows.
He's sorted, right? That's just what it is. He built the bloody thing, right? So that's kind of what it is. And Mitch and all those guys, like, I mean, they really know how to run that thing. But it's almost like, I don't believe in the, let's piss off mum and dad now. Yeah. It's like, mum and dad worked hard, but this is what it is. But there's got to be that fine line, Now, mum and dad, look, I just want you to be a mum and dad. Appreciate everything, but now I'm going to look after you. I'm going to buy you your first house again, because I know you sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, buy back that house.
Here's your house, and, this is how we're going to roll type thing. And I think that's the thing that's actually not probably pushed enough in that, especially in the moto arena.
And there's a real problem with just general education, man.
Oh, of course there is. Like, massive.
Dude, a lot of these guys, I shouldn't say a lot. Some of these bigger dudes could barely read and write.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what I mean? And because from that young age, they're just going deep in moto. That's because it's undeniable that a Ryan Villapoto is going to be a star. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's like that general lack of education. If you looked at just the general demographic of motocross, it's not a very highly educated. No. The statistics don't show that it's a college educated sport. They don't actually play it in college, that's the biggest thing in the States, especially. Yeah, that's right. You've got college football, college basketball. You've got to maintain a certain GPA to play. That does not exist in motocross. No. You want to race motocross and you're going to be good. quit school, man. Mum's going to teach you a couple ABCs and you're going to do motos. And you're going to live at like a MTF. That's a massive problem, man. Yeah, it produces pretty fucking rad motocross riders. But then it comes with all these problems. Like, you look at a J-Law.
Yeah, I know.
Dude's dumb as shit.
Yeah, I know.
And no education. And you see all these talented guys that are just falling so hard off the rails.
and if they're not financially advised with the money they make, they got nothing.
Then they got nothing anyway.
They got nothing left over. And a lot of guys actually...
Look at Hanson. He was buying Bentleys and all sorts of shit. Like, he's got nothing now.
I love Josh. And
he's
he's just a loose unit. But I love the guy. And the reason is because, I had a lot of run-ins with Josh back in the day when he was a young fella. I just said, mate, you need to pull your fucking head in, mate, and not be living off your dad.
Were you over there when he was on Yamaha
Troy? Yep.
So what was your role with Yamaha Troy?
Oh, look,
we were just a sponsor through.
We were just a sponsor, but I took our sponsorship pretty serious. So I mean, we give them $400,000 or $500,000. I mean, it was a big investment. So it was like,
you wanted.
If they weren't performing, then why are we paying?
Top dollar.
Why not? And then if there was a rider that wasn't performing and I knew the reason why he wasn't, because he's on the piss the night before, I'd have something to say. And I'd say to Pete, or I'd say to Dakar, even the time, because I was over there with Dakar, I'd say, Dakar, what the fuck's going on, mate?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like, these guys need to get off the piss and treat this professionally. You guys are paying them $150,000 a year to ride 250s and to ride to this elite.
Hanny would have been on more for sure.
Not when he first started. No, when he was on that sort of junior level.
When he was on KTM, like, he was getting like millions.
Yeah, no, he was making money. He was making some good money. But Hanny was too. But it wasn't actually. It was just Hanny's maturity. It wasn't anything else. It was like, I got to, I'm out and about. I'm in the pro series and whatever, and
girls and
the girls and the this and the that and whatever.
Fucking monster girls, man. Fucking monster girls.
Ruin it for everyone, or make it good for everyone. One or the other. But I mean, it was again. I think it was that maturity, and it was the same. Craig Anderson went over there. He was useless there. Great here, but that pressure, I think, of Craig being over there, missing a triple. Because he felt couldn't do it or whatever that might be. I mean, a great starter, probably the best starter I've ever seen. But at the end of the day, it wasn't built for that sort of. When you come from Australia and you're riding here compared to there, I mean, it's kill or be killed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, I'll let you in, I'll come in on the inside. No, they'll take you out. Like, I mean, that 250 class is just a nightmare.
Bunch of psychos.
I mean, you got guys that they don't give a shit. Oh, that was. He jumped over me, or he did this, or he cut me off. They don't give a shit.
It's all they got too.
It's money.
Yeah, it's all they got.
If they don't finish in the top 6, they don't even get a look in. Like, you've got to finish in the top 6 for the next 10 rounds. And if you don't, no one's going to look at you. You'll be a privateer for the rest of your life. And there's the Nick Ways and all these guys that made it into that factory, but were still in that top 6. They made a good living.
Kind of guy.
Yeah, Jake Weimer. But look, Yamaha needed that guy because they needed blue.
Yeah, up there.
Yeah, up there. They needed the Chad. They needed the Nick. They needed the Villeman. They needed those type of guys. Like, they needed them there, but to fill spaces through that top 6. But you're always guaranteed of a ride. I mean, you're actually better off being a top 6 rider sometimes than a number 1 and then a number 12.
Yeah,
because that's that hot and cold aspect of some of the races that were up there.
Were you there when Nick Evenew was on Yamaha Troy?
No.
Oh, because he was on the first podcast with us. He's a really cool dude.
No, I wasn't. No, he must have been before my time, maybe 2000, maybe 2001, something like that.
So what made you go into the military? Were you always so? What were you just a sport physical dude, or was it just wanted to push yourself by being in that like elite thing, or like what was the mentality?
I think for me it was more about I didn't want to join when I was 18. I needed a little bit of time because Dad said, to me, he said, mate, you just end up like a jarhead, in there, and just military's all you know, and it's kind of hard to get out. If you go in at 18, it's not a bad idea, but I'm just saying that it's.
You just sort of
if you want to do it for 20 years, go do it for 20 years. It's extremely hard to get out of after 10 years and go, all right, I'm going to go and find a new job, because you become extremely regimental. You become extremely governed by certain rules and expectations and that drive and all the rest of it. So to get out in the outside world, it's quite difficult because you're dealing with plebs, mate. I mean, you're dealing with people that don't give a shit whether they look good or bad.
No discipline.
I'm here at work at 5 to 5 or 10 to 5, or I'm here at 4:30 in the morning and work starts at 5 because I need to have my shit to get ready to go, right? If work started, if your first call in the army was 5:45, you were there at 20 past 5.
Yeah.
You know, if you're on time, you're late. That's kind of how it is because everybody else will be waiting for you. So, but yeah, I went through. I had a couple of jobs when I was a bit younger and went in.
So was your dad in the military?
Yeah, he was in the military as well. Yeah, but you know, I mean, he was a mechanic and you know,
so there was like a military background there.
Yeah, there was. It was a little military background, and both my grandfather and my father missed both of those the Second World War and the First World War because they were just both too young at the time. You know, when they went through, probably 3 years, 4 years too young. But you know, for me, it was I was kind of I believe probably more born for it than anything else because love to hunt, love to be outdoors, love to work hard, and the army rewards hard work. The harder you work, the better they reward you. The harder you show discipline, the better they'll do. Because it's all, nothing's forgotten in the army. If you come in for your first test, your first basic fitness assessment, and you just
make it.
You just make it. You're gonna just make it your whole life in there.
Yeah.
Just get through. You're gonna just make it because, you know, the pass mark is here, but they don't expect you to pass. They expect you to exceed that. And if you don't exceed that, you know, the same thing. The guys that come to me now and do basic fitness, they're like young kid of mine that's just gone to ADFA. They only take like 25 for engineering degrees a year, you know, Australian Defence Force Academy, and they pay for your education. But as I said to him, you want to go in there the best that you can be. You know, you want to do the most push-ups. You want to run the fastest. You want to do all the sit-ups. You want to be the best, because if you're the best at the start, you're going to be the best at everything, because they'll look at you and they'll pay attention to you. They'll nurture you. They'll say, look, that guy, drive right there. That's drive. And that guy is going to put that into his education. If he doesn't put it into his education, he's going to actually keep working until he's an A-class student. And that's how it works in the military. And I always say to young guys, I want to join the military. I'm like, really? Why? Oh, I just seems like a good career. Well, do you want to exceed? Oh, no, I'd just be happy if I, just want a job and a trade. And I'm like, well, do you want to exceed? Do you want to be the best you can be? Do you want to take the opportunities? Do you want to be a warrant officer? Do you want to be a captain? What do you want to do? Oh, I'm like, mate, it's not for you. You need a group of people, but you need the ones that are excelling, and you need the ones that are obviously, doing the work as well. But at the end of the day, if I got a guy that comes to me and says, I want you to test me for a basic fitness assessment, I'll test him. If he just passed, I said, mate, you're going to fail. The reason is because what you're doing, life does not allow you to have a cold on that day and pass. If you pass exceedingly, if you're having a shit day that day, or you trip over at the 2.4k run, you're going to make it still, because you still got it up your sleeve. But if you go in there just passing, if you're not allowing for anything to happen that day, whether you got a shit day, you just vomited from food poisoning, you got nothing. So if you're going to go in, be the best you can and train hard for it so that you can do that. And I was fortunate to be a physical training instructor for the military, and got to be down with a commando unit down in Holsworthy, and a few stints here and there, and it was a great career. But they, and probably got out of it too early, really, to be quite honest, because a great opportunity obviously came up in America, and I took that. And if I was single at the time and not in a relationship, and I would have probably still been in the army today, because I loved it. It was just, the harder I worked every day, if I got up every day and just exceeded, everything was just given to you. It was just more and more, like, it didn't matter what you wanted to do. You want a different posting? Yeah, good. You have that one. If you want to, where do you want to go now, Adrian? What's your preference? And it's a list, They look across and they look at 5 soldiers, and they're all going for a sergeant's course. Yeah, but this guy here,
he's always standout, yeah.
Always number one. So he gets the preference. You're a bottom feeder. You get nothing. You'll get the shit job. I'm going to post you to Puckapunya. That's how it works. And it's all we always say to. It's the same as the police force, same as anything. The police force is actually gearing up differently even today as well. They're looking for. I mean, we're in a society now of verging on slight fear, I think, anywhere around the world at the moment. It's not fear in a way that we won't go out. It's fear that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what
could happen.
Could happen. Happen in Paris, happen in London. Maybe I don't travel into those places that I typically would. Maybe I won't go to Istanbul. Maybe I won't go and check out Turkey. Maybe I won't go to India because I'm just not sure, because there is that slight hesitation, I think, now. I'd never tell people to go to, South Africa and a lot of places through Africa anymore because it's just a freaking nightmare over there. You're putting yourself and your family probably at risk. So I think society's now gearing up into a more... they're building a society now to be able to handle a situation differently. And you can see it in the army, you can see it in, I think, the police force, even fireys, everybody. They're probably being affordably a little bit more picky, I think, with who they sort of take on,
But then you've got this whole counter movement of we need X amount of women.
Correct.
We need X amount of black women.
Yep.
We need X amount of gay men.
Yep.
And there's no nothing against any of those,
of course not,
groups in my mind.
No.
But why can't we just be taking the best?
We can, and if we're going to be,
if there's, you know what I mean, like you can't make, in my opinion, you can't make roles for a certain group of people that if you look on a percentage basis of like their general interest, being on the front line isn't appealing to them. No. And like you just know that based on the demographic, like the statistical proportion of people who are in the army are these big alpha male men like yourself that want to exceed. And if you just start trying to create roles for these people, I don't see that as strong, because I always say to people, like, look at the NBA. The NBA isn't trying to be diverse.
No.
The NBA isn't trying to have
so you got to have 5 white dudes on there.
Yeah, 5 white, you've got to have 1 gay, 1 white, 1 Chinese, 1 woman. Like they're just going, no, give me the tallest, most athletic motherfucker that can get the ball in that basket and let's win championships. And and people want to see that too.
Yeah, well, that's sport.
Exactly.
It's sport. Sport is not gender based. It's not. It's the best. That's what sport is, and I think that's what society probably needs to take a leaf out of their hat a little bit, and that's why you have those different groups anyway. I mean, a good friend of mine who headed up the basic fitness requirement for women to be in infantry, and was looking at all the testing. He didn't make it easy. He made it almost impossible to get in.
It should be.
Well, not impossible. I mean, there's people that have passed it. But I mean, if you're gonna hit the front line, if you're gonna be the backup for another guy or whatever that might be, like, you're gonna have to be strong, and you're gonna have to be this, and you're gonna have to do that. If some guy is down and out and he's just blowing his leg off, you're gonna have to pick him up and get him out of there. Yeah. If you can't, then what's the point?
And you shouldn't be there whether you're a man
or a female
or a woman.
That's right. And
you shouldn't be there.
The SAS is not. They are not. Oh, well, we need another infantry guy that is not quite as good. They take the best. Yeah. And the reason they take the best is because they deal with the harshness and the reality of reconnaissance and war. And you mentally and physically need to be able to get yourself out of that situation based on whatever happens in that time. So, and typically in the SAS, I mean, they're not 100-kilo guys. These guys are just mentally and physically tough. Yeah. They can in a moment go, right, we got 20 Ks, we've got no water, we've got no food, we're going to have to survive off what we know, and we're going to have to get out of here the best way we can without getting killed, because that's just what they do. They know that. Some
people feel like they're born for that situation.
That's right.
And other people, it's just fight or flight.
Of course
that's a basic instinct that every animal on planet Earth has. Yep. They have a fight response or they have a flight response.
That's right, exactly.
And that response is built up over years of actually doing it as well.
That's right, it is.
So you get the guys that win. They get that compounding fight response, and then you get people that lose, and then they get a compounding flight response.
That's right. And
so there's no that's not prejudice.
No, it isn't
prejudice. There's no prejudice in that. That is full blown biology.
That is what it is, and this is why this participation award bullshit pisses me off. I hate it. I got in trouble 3 years ago at tug of war with my son's school. Adrian, you're being a little bit competitive. What the fuck do you mean competitive?
Of course I'm fucking competitive.
This is a competition. Someone's got to win and someone's got to lose. Well, no, everyone gets a participation card. Well, I don't believe in participation. Someone has to win. Someone has to lose. If there is not a winner and a loser, then we have a culture that no one wants to...
There's no incentive.
There's no incentive. No one wants to thrive. Even Axel says to me, he said, well, what's the point, of training for a cross country? I win, but I don't get nothing. Like, what do I get? okay, well, you won the cross country. That should be enough to actually try, you know. And I have never said, I mean, he's not as probably competitive as I was, but I said, mate, I don't care whether you lose or whether you come first. What I care is that you gave it 110%. If you come over that line just nearly spewing your guts out, I'm pretty proud as a father because I know that you tried, you know, for that. That tug of war and a lot of these game things and netball and soccer and going, you know, listening to a friend of mine say, yeah, went to soccer, Adrian. Our team won 10-0, but we don't score. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You don't score? You don't score the game because you won? No. Same as AFL. AFL in those younger age brackets now. Oh, no, we got a goal, but we're not actually scoring because it's a bit unfair, right? I'm like, well, what is going to drive a child's mind if he can't win? I never trained to be so that I could, you know, because I love training. I trained because I knew at the end of it I'd win something.
You'd win, yeah.
You know, so the more I trained, the more I'd win. So that's what I did. But the schooling system now and the way that we are and the way that we're actually pushing, I think, our own young demographic, we are up for a massive shock in the next 20 years. Massive shock. Because try and find a young bloke today that wants to do an apprenticeship. Yeah. You won't find one. Doesn't matter how much the government gives it. I want to design an app.
Yeah.
Because that's where the money's at. When you employ someone today, they're telling you, well, this is what I want. I'm like, well, what do I get? What do you mean, what do you get? You get me. Yeah, well, what are you going to offer me? Well, you know, I've done this, and that. I know, but what have you done? What are you worth? Tell me what you're worth.
Yeah.
Are you worth 60 grand or are you worth 100? I did the same thing with one of my employees a long time ago. I said, mate, what are you worth? What are you worth to me? These are your objectives. These are your goals. What are you worth? What's the range? Okay, well, you know the range. You're here on an interview. It's between 80 and 120 grand. Well, I'm worth 120. Okay, to be worth 120, you've got to make this happen.
It's again that exceeding.
You've got to exceed to get you 120 grand. Oh, yeah, I'll exceed. Okay, well, how about I put you on 80 grand and I give you 100% bonus based on these targets. I'm going to make you 160. Oh, no, it's all right. I'll take the 120. Really? So you don't want the ability to make 160. You just want 120.
You want to cap out.
I want to cap out. Fuck that. I want a guy that says, oh, give me 60 and I want 150 grand. And if I don't make 150 grand, at least I made 160, you know, like, or whatever that it might be. I want that guy. I want that guy that comes to me with a plan and says, Adrian, you got your protein for sale. You know, you want to launch the international market. I want you to pay me 80 grand to do the work. I want to do it. But if I can get in 11 ton a month into China, I want 50 cents you know, a bag for that. So I'm going to get an extra 4.5 grand per container per month. I say, fucking oath.
Yeah. You want that
You
dude.
got a deal.
Yeah.
I want that dude. I want that dude to come to me and say that. And that's because you know every day he's going to get out of bed because he knows he can make money.
And that's not, that doesn't lend itself to the participation culture.
No, he's going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
He's going to win no matter what. And if he doesn't win, I tell you what, he'll be pissed and he's going to know how to win the next time because he knows what he did wrong. And that's why the army breed, you know, if you're an engineer or if you're an infantry or whatever, but you actually have done well, you come into the normal workforce, it's a piece of piss. You're like, fuck, no, this is pretty good. I just turn up at 9, go home 5. Like, and all of a sudden you're the boss. Shit, this was pretty easy. It's because you showed up. It's because you give a shit, and it's because you actually did things that everybody else isn't doing. And that's what that mentality, I think, of the military kind of really instills in people, is that drive, that constant hunger to do better. You're in a competitive nature. You're with a bunch of other guys that want to be the best, and that's the best thing. Like, to be a physical training instructor in the army, you've got to go up against 1,000 other blokes in the army, and out of that, you got to go down to a sub-unit PDI course in Cerberus, and out of 20 other guys, you got to come number 1 to then actually apply to be a physical training instructor. So it's not like this. Yeah, I'll be one.
Yeah, I'll have a crack.
I'll have a crack. Give me a go. You can't do that. You've got to have the ability. You've got to have the strength. The same as a SAS, same as all these guys. I mean, they've got the ability. They've got the hunger, and that's what they know. They know what they need to do. Yeah, a lot of guys will go in and say, "Oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind being in the SAS." Really? We'll see how you go in 4 years. That's why the SAS really look at guys that have done.
So how does the process of the SAS work?
So So you usually have to. I mean, they're looking at guys with maturity. They're looking at guys that have been in the infantry for not just the infantry, but 3 or 4 years of service. So that they've got the maturity. They've got the basic skills of being a soldier. So the basic skills of being weapon efficient and physically fit and mentally strong.
They can handle it because they've had.
That's right. They've had 3 or 4 years.
So what does SAS stand for?
Special Arms Service. So Special Air Service.
That's basically like our Australian elite kind of.
Yep.
Deal,
that's our elite. That's our Green Beret. That's our a lot of people put it in different forms. I mean, obviously you got your top parts of your Marines, you got your Delta Force, you got a lot of different SEAL teams, that type of thing. And look, they're all relative and they're all specialists in their own department. Like our SAS specialise in so many different types of fields, whereas the American aspect actually specialise in very specific type things. Like SEAL. I mean, they're doing 7, 8 days, 9 days of hell, basically. Of more water up orientations, but land as well. And whereas the SAS, you do that initial, but then you specifically go into different areas of being a specialist in different things. You might be a sniper, you might be recon, you might be whatever. So, you got those different areas. But to be one, if you actually want to do it and you want to show that you're actually there, I mean, infantry is probably the best place to be start point because that's the basics. That's how to hump a pack, how to shoot, how to probably hold an F-89, F-88, a machine gun and know 9 different types of weapons fairly proficiently and all the rest of it. There's that point, but then physically, if you do a soldier's comp or you do and you win a soldier's comp because that's within an infantry battalion and you're the best of the best when it comes to a soldier, and then you apply, and then you really do have to get that recommendation really from your CO or from your sergeant or somebody within your group to say you're ready for it, you're going to train, no dramas. And then you get down there and then you have that selection course process where you've got to pass a certain requirement before you even get a look in, and then when you get a look in, you might pass everything physically with a breeze. You might pass everything and they might say no to you at the end because there was just something missing.
Yeah.
There was something missing, whether it was you're a cocky bastard or you thought you're too good or you wouldn't blend with a team or you don't do well in isolation or whatever. Yeah. So they're very particular. But if you go back again and you show a bit of maturity and you show that you've changed in some way because you might have thought, because they don't tell you why you failed.
Yeah, right.
They just say no.
Sorry,
you're
mate.
out.
Yeah.
You just trained your ass off, to do 20 clickers and to do everything else, but they just don't like you for some reason. You just, the DS or whatever is over there, they look at you and you go, just something doesn't click right. And it's a very close-knit community. I mean, I know a few, fair few SAS guys, and they're a very unique breed of people. Kind of. Yeah, they're not big 150 kilo guys, 120 kilo just ripped as shit house, because that's actually not very efficient. Yeah. It's not to pull around a lot of muscle is not efficient. I mean, if
more muscle, more oxygen, more
fuel, more food, more everything. I mean, you got a wiry guy at 65 kilos that can hump a pack. I mean, shit, that guy's going to last forever. He's
little donkey.
Bloody hell. He's a whippet. Get around places and look around for a bit of food and go from there. It's like just the difference of that. It's like a big lion versus a lioness.
Yeah.
Lionesses are the hunters because they're just a more efficient hunter. They're
yeah.
leaner, they're less weight, they're about 80 to 100, 80 kilos lighter than a bloody lion. So you've got that efficiency aspect. So I think a lot of people have that misconception because obviously movies do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, that guy's fucking ripped.
Yeah, just a fucking Zeus.
He's a Zeus. I mean, he's a machine, but at the end of the day, he needs 5 protein shakes a day to keep going. Yeah. So it doesn't really, blend very well when it comes to that sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, they're a pretty special breed, so it's interesting anyway. But yeah, and that's.
Can you talk about the SAS when you're in it, or like when you're out of it?
Not really.
Or they don't let you're not even really supposed to know who was in it or whatever.
Oh, look, they don't. They're a pretty close knit community. They don't really talk about much at all.
That's what I like when I fucking refuse to watch UFC fights in public now in America. Like I've been watching the UFC for like
a long time,
17 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, fuck, mate. Every time I go out, it's like, I'm a Navy SEAL, bro. I'm like, you're not a Navy SEAL if you're telling me you're a Navy SEAL, dude. That's how those people work.
I fight UFC. Oh, really? How many fights you had?
Oh,
none.
It's just so...
Well, I'm training for it.
But the dudes that are real don't tell you what they've done.
No, and again, they're a pretty unique breed. That's just what they are, It's not... it's a job to them.
Yeah.
It's a job, and a lot of people say always too, when things erupt in Afghanistan's and your Timors and all this bullshit erupts, because you must be scared. Well, a lot of guys aren't, because it's what they train for. It's like
they want it. That's game day.
That's game day. It's like riding moto, lap after lap up, but no one ever competing against you. You don't know how good you are. Yeah. So a lot of people miss that mentality. It's like, am I going to get off this plane and just get the shot the fuck up when I get off here? I don't know. Maybe.
Let's find out.
Let's get off this thing and have a go. But that's that mentality, I think.
So is it more? I guess you've got the patriotism side of it.
Yeah.
But I could be fucking wrong, but I don't think Australia has that level of patriotism in combat style that the US has, because we haven't been in, our combat is like supporting allies, really. I guess East Timor would probably be one where, not we're an aggressor, but that was our sole thing, and we went over there to that
was more of a peacekeeping bloody thing anyway. It was, it was really not that much incident. No.
So that's what I'm saying. We're not really a war country.
We
support a lot of wars.
We support, but a lot of countries rely on us. A lot of countries rely on our SAS to be the first in and to be able to blend and do a lot of reconnaissance based on war. So we are more of a specialist than probably most armies in the world. And the reason is because our support is quite low. We don't get helicoptered everywhere. We can hump a pack everywhere because of our support aspect in this country has probably never been as good as what the US.
We just don't have the spend.
We just don't have the spend on it. But if you put an infantry member, a good infantry soldier up against any infantry soldier around the world, he would finish in the top 5, top 3. Right. Yep. Easy. Any day of the week.
Yeah, because the SAS...
they're renowned to be the best in the world.
Yeah, because I've even had guys in the States that are in the military tell me that fuck your SAS are badasses.
Yeah, well that's right, and because again their support, even though the SAS get a lot of support, but their support is nowhere near as great, so they actually have to rely on
sort of doing it on their own.
That's right, they rely on doing it on their own, and you know what? In any situation, at any time, I'd put up our guys in the SAS, knowing the guys I know, I'd put any of them up against any soldier in the world, in any situation, no matter what, But tactically, and from a pure horsepower perspective, the Americans just win because they've just got that huge amount of firepower, huge amount of support, and when they go in hot and they go in hard, and that's what I like about them is they fuck this, let's just be bigger and better, let's just build bigger shit. Yeah, no, that's right. No, we're not in there. Whereas the Australians have probably got that little bit less, bravo aspect, and you know what? Let's just go and check it out first.
Yeah,
see what we're up against. Whereas the Americans, let's just take everybody and just, if there's only 3 people there, let's just fucking annihilate it.
Yeah.
Anyway, who cares? And that's
hoorah.
Who gives a shit? That type of thing. But that's kind of cool, really, because it builds.
Well, it's established world peace,
that's
really.
Right. Well, it kind of is.
In a way.
You got Trump leading the path, which is, an interesting breed of choice of president. But at the end of the day, people go, what a fucking tool, this and that, and whatever. But have a look at the mentality of Middle America. That's who they are. Hoorah! Let's win.
That's what I've said. I wish I put money down on Trump when it was 30,000 to 1, because I said from the day that he run, I said he's for sure 100% winning this election.
Yep.
Because I've been everywhere in America. I've seen the shittest of the shit. And I've lived in California, and that's a bubble. And then that's where you got California and you got New York. That's where the news comes from. And that is the most isolated, that's the Truman Show in terms of real America. It's not, that's
of course it's
completely
not.
unreal. But that's the perspective of what America is, comes from there. It's the Real Housewives, it's the Kardashians, it's Wall Street, it's it. And then you go into the middle of the country, and it's like going to the middle of our country. It is so poor, and there's so much anger and so much they're so it's like a forgotten race of people that's there. You know what I mean?
It is a forgotten race, because if you go through Middle America,
and they're talked down upon. They're the rednecks. They're the
rednecks of society, and they're proud of it too. They don't care. They're just like, this is who we are. This is what we are. We'll just fuck shit up. We don't care. We'll just get. What do we got? What do they got? 9 guns per person per person in per capita. I mean, it's a crazy statistic, but they're right to bear arms, and everyone's like, well, you know what? They should do the same as John Howard. You can't do that. You can't. It's impossible. They lead the charge when it comes to their patriotism. They will get up. If you go to an Anaheim, which you've been,
Yeah.
every motherfucker stands up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody stands
Dude,
up.
I was at Oakland, man, and
Yeah.
a guy didn't stand up for the national
Oh,
anthem,
yeah.
and he got
What are you doing?
fucking punched in the face. Like a dude reached over the back, he's like, "Stand up, motherfucker," and just like knocked this dude.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
that's
just
right.
like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Like,
Well,
he could have had a sore
Yeah,
leg.
yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's
Like,
right. Well, and
they
I
don't
think
give a fuck.
they don't care. And Australia is actually, I believe, is getting more patriotic.
I
Slowly.
hope so.
Well,
You
it
know
is.
what? When I come back, I went to a Broncos game,
Yeah.
and they didn't even play the national anthem.
Yeah, I know.
And I was fucking gutted.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I was pissed. I was ready to come. Like,
It should be before an RC race. It should be before a GoPro race. It should
Dude,
be.
it should
It
be
should be before anything.
everything.
Yeah, a horse race. I mean, it's played. It's this is what it is. I mean, it should be a symbol of our freedom and who we are as a country.
And
I
the
love
thing
it.
is that this is like with it. We just had Australia Day, and
Yeah.
there's so much bullshit about it.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like the problem is that I don't think you can. If you want to say sorry, or if you want to be, and this is my own opinion,
Yep.
if you want to say sorry, if you want to be apologetic,
Yep.
you can only apologize for yourself.
Yep.
Because you were the only person responsible for your own actions.
That's right.
If you do something fucked up to a person,
Yeah.
I can condemn that action and I can say, fuck, he shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
But I can't say, damn, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with
No,
that.
that's right. And that's
And
exactly
the problem
what it
with this whole Australia Day thing and this whole, we're saying sorry, what happened was fucked.
is. Yep.
Fucked. Big
Yep.
time.
But it's not us today.
But I didn't do that.
No.
I can't apologize.
No.
Yes, I can think it sucks,
Yep.
but it's wrong for me to apologize.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that weird thing when you say like, oh, I'm sorry when someone passes away.
Yep.
I've never understood it
No.
because it's almost like a thing that, you should say. But
Yeah.
it's like, I
Oh,
can't be
sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh,
But I can't,
No.
you know what I mean?
You can't make
it's
it
like
relative.
I can feel for
Yeah.
you and I
Yep.
can. So I think that's where we've got stuck in this weird political thing when it comes to Australia Day is that it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't be sorry
you
for
can't.
something you didn't
No.
do.
No, and
you
that's
can
all-
only be sorry for your own actions.
I believe it. I'm exactly the same. Look, again, it's the same thing. We know what happened was fucked.
And
But we live in today.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and I ain't saying sorry. That's just what it. I live in today. Like I have to
didn't
say,
do anything.
I didn't do nothing wrong. It
Yeah.
wasn't my generation. The generation has been through 4 generations of that.
And there's still people, and you cannot deny that there's still people. I got a
Yeah.
friend, we had a conversation about this the other day. She's in child services.
Yep.
And she still deals with in Cairns,
Yep.
which is huge Aboriginal
yeah.
community. That's
Yep.
where I'm from, obviously. So
Yep.
we've seen a lot of that. There's still people dealing with
Yeah.
the stolen generation in a modern sense
Yeah.
where parents and families now
Yeah.
aren't looking after children and young Aboriginal kids are going into home. So that's almost, it's not a stolen generation in the sense that it was, but there's
No.
still this follow-on effect.
Yep.
I can't be sorry for that as a person and I can't apologize. I didn't do that.
No, that's
What
right.
I can do is try and contribute to fixing it.
Yep.
So it comes to this whole thing of like changing dates and this
Yeah.
and that. And it's like,
No.
it's hard to, you can't erase the past.
No.
And by doing that, you're just erasing the past. Why don't we just make that day
Yep.
a cornerstone for education?
Yeah.
Let's make that day a day to be celebrated as the Australia we've got now.
Yeah, that's
How
right.
far we've come as a
Yeah.
country
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I would say that Australia is not an inherently racist country. We're constantly in the top 5 for living standards.
Yep.
Youth
Everything.
standards
Yep.
are in the top 5.
Yep.
Like
Living.
we have a great country.
Yeah.
We have a shitty past.
Yep.
Show me a country
That doesn't have a shitty
wasn't colonized.
Exactly.
And the problem is like the globe at the point of Christopher Columbus, Captain Cook, that was a fucking land race,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
that was pure survival. That was the days where winter could wipe out a population.
Yep.
Like that's some Game of Thrones winter's coming shit.
Yep.
You got the Black Plague, you got this. So
Yep.
that is a point
right.
of pure survival. Let's go out and let's find places. Is there a place that's better than where we're at now?
Yeah. No.
And if there's a tribal population of like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And that's the way that it was.
Yeah.
Was it right?
No, that's right.
But again, it kind of comes back
but
to
it was
that
relative
whole-
to
exactly,
that time.
Exactly.
It's relative to that time. Like today, like in 1992, when I, 91, 92, when I finished school, all right, well, you didn't have a cell phone. So you had to go to the library to fucking figure something out, or you had to look it up some way. You didn't have fucking Google. So, if you want a job, you actually had to call people on a fucking payphone and say, "Can I have a job?" Like that was that
or
time.
go in and talk to the owner.
Go in and talk into the owner or whatever it is. But everyone says, "Yeah, but back in my day." Well, fuck, back in my day. We're in today.
Yeah, it's,
you know,
it's gone now.
It's gone.
It's only in your memory, bro.
Back in my day, it's exactly the same as I always say. You know, oh yeah, but in the army, when you're in the army, you know, this is this and this. Okay, well, when I was in the army, it wasn't probably as hard as they had it 20 years before me.
Yeah.
Like they probably had it fucking harder than me, but it was relative to what I went through that time, you know. And that's why I always say with young kids, put yourself in an experience that you can always remember how hard it was. Because if you know that, you'll always make yourself relative to that experience. Have an understanding, live, put yourself in stressful positions, put yourself as a young kid in fucking hard work. Go to a butcher, get an apprenticeship, go and do something for a year that you know is probably not the job that you want, but I tell you what, but you busted your ass, and at least you can say to yourself, fuck, I busted my ass for a whole year doing that bloody butcher apprentice. Now I don't want to do it no more. Go and work at bloody wherever that
Build
might be hard. Yeah, do something, but make it hard for yourself so that you have some sort of, you know, life experience to give it some sort of relativity. You know, like I got stuck in a mud hole about 400 kilometres northwest of Ayers Rock. It looked like, you know, I walked through 50 metres of water and it was this deep, and I was like, fuck, that's easy. All right. So for the first 50 metres I got through, but then other trucks had gone before me before that, and I couldn't see that, and I got bogged.
In a car?
Yeah, in my car, in the 4B. Boom, bogged right down to the fucking axles and all the rest of it. 17 days it took me to get out of that.
Fucking hell.
17 days. You know what, every day, I didn't have any cell phone. No, that wasn't 17, it was 14 days. But for 14 days, I was like, all right, you get pretty stressed because you're like, fucking hell, how am I going to get out of this? So then you just sit there and you analyse it. All right, the car's not sinking, it's all good, stationary. All right, now what am I going to do? So you think to yourself, all right, well, let's, you know, first 4 hours I was just going at it. And I was thinking to myself, fuck, I'm exhausted. I'm going to be cooked. I'm not even going to get through this thing. So then I made a plan for myself. I'm like, all right, today I'm going to get through 9 metres. I got 100 metres to go through. I'm going to get 10 metres a day. If I do a little bit extra one day because I get a bit more energy, I'll do a bit more. So I'm pulling mud, putting the bloody tracks underneath, moving, pulling mud, doing tracks, doing all the rest of it, putting all the things down, set myself up camp every day, 10 metres ahead, knowing that I had to get to that spot every day. And that's what I did. So I was thinking to myself, all right, well, I'll be out of here in no time. This will be all right. But then and there, in the first 8 hours of you doing it, because you're just racing, because you're thinking. But then at the end of the day, I was like, fuck, I've got water, I've got food, I can fucking hunt. What's the rush?
Yeah,
I've got no phone. Who gives a shit? Like, what am I going to do here? Even if I get a metre a day for the next 30 days, I got 230 litres of water.
and it's not the hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
That's right.
So relatively speaking, you're just going, fuck.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck, you know, 2 weeks in Tully's fucking harder than that. You know, sitting in grime and shit, and it's raining on you all bloody day. You know how it is up in there. I mean, in the jungle up there, that's shit. You got leeches on your balls when you wake up, and you're like, fuck, this is shit. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at a campfire, good weather, everything's fine. It's not that bad. It's all right. I'll get through it.
Just got a car that's stuck.
Got a car that's stuck, but I'll get through it. Then when I got through the other side, you know, I sat there. I was like, fucking hell, that was hard. You know what? It wasn't that bad. You know, and then away you go. You know, you go again. But that's the experience. But if you've got those experiences to always make kind of relative, you know, if you go to Fraser Island, some guy's bogged for 2 hours, you're like, mate,
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, brother.
Yeah.
You'll be out soon, don't worry. You're digging for a while. But as I always say to young kids, train hard. Put yourself in a competitive sport. Go out there and get injured. You know, fucking ride a motorbike. Go do something so that you actually have to recover from something and see what it takes to recover. Don't just sit there and whinge and carry on.
My example of that is that I was never that good at motocross, but I broke fucking everything and I was hurt and you learn. So, and this is where it's kind of it was a bit of a negative, but the relativity to pain becomes it's just you just get a weird relationship with it. And then so when I broke this collarbone the last time, I didn't even go to hospital.
You already knew what it was.
Well, I knew I've broken my collarbone. I know what they're going to do. They're going to put me in a sling. They're going to give me some painkillers. Then they're going to tell me I can't move for X amount of days. Blah, blah, blah. And it was because I've done it before. And then one of I've broken a few times now. There was one of the times I snapped my collarbone, and it was 6 days before my first ever paid film gig for JDR. Which that in itself springboarded an entire new chapter in my life without that. So that was like looking back at it, was a pivotal point in my life, but I broke my collarbone.
Yep.
So I had 6 days to be good enough to put a backpack on with my camera in it, my new camera that I just bought, fly to Horsham, and then walk around that motocross track all day to make my video to then give to the people that had paid me to do it. Yeah. And it was like, without that relationship to pain, like if that was just someone on the street that broke their collarbone, like, they'd be out.
I'm out. I can't do it. I'm out, you know. And that's... probably shouldn't say it relatively, but that's why, you know, people in the gym, they call me up, oh, Adrian, busted my hand.
Sore.
Busted my hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck your hand, go and do something with your legs.
Yeah.
Come into the gym and get on an arc trainer.
Yeah.
I'll put you on a fucking thing. I'll keep you fit. Oh, really? Oh, no, but my wrist is sore. I know. Fucking get it fixed and then come back into the gym. I'll give you 1,000 squats and 1,000 fucking lunges to do, and I'll give you an ass like a 12-year-old boy. Like, that's what it is, right? So come on back in. Like, this is what we'll get done. So people always, human nature is for us to take the easy way out. Always. What's the easiest road? Well, I can climb that mountain there. If I can go around the mountain, I know it's going to be a little bit longer that way, but that's near impossible.
I think that, I guess now, like, you'd have to think, in terms of an evolutionary standpoint, we'd take the easy way out because that's the way to ensure survival, right?
Of course.
But now, like we said before, survival is off the table. Like, we're all going to live.
We're all living.
So now you can afford yourself the luxury of making it hard, because that's going to make you a better human.
That's right. And I think that's the key that sport, I think, in general gives young males, young females, is it how hard they had to work to be as good as they could get. I think that's the very relative, and that's why I love sport, is that you got to work hard. If you're going to be any good, or even half good, you still got to work for it. You got to show up, you know, every day. So it's easy to put that into practice when it comes to business. It's easy to put into practice, you know, like I work from 4:30 in the morning till 8 o'clock every night, every day, 5 days a week. That's my hours. And I'm there every day. I talk, I train people. It's exhausting to even talk to people, but it's a new business. It's what you got to do. You know, this poor young fellow that I've been training, you know, to go to ADFA, you know, Bradley Stanley, he's, mate, probably one of the nicest kids I've ever met. Nicest kids. Trained him for 2 years. You know what? And I saw this in him straight away. He came to me to do boot camps, you know, 2 years ago. Adrian, I want to join the army. I'm all right. Show me what you got. Let's, you know, good marks at school, wants to do engineering, you know, really smart cookie. Cool. Straight away, I'm like, grows up in Mullaney, milks farm, like milks cows for a living. Been doing it since he's like 13 years old. Worked at Mullaney Milk for 7 years. Okay. Got his head on his shoulder, can work, can get up in the morning, can produce. Cool. Goes to ADFA, send him down there to see a mate of mine. He goes in for the induction training down there. He passes everything, does the BFA, basic fitness assessment, does everything. They say to him, you're lacking maturity. Not maturity, but maturity experience.
Yeah.
When, you know, maturity is what you need. We're going to turn you into a soldier. We're going to turn you into, you know, to the best. All right. So Adrian calls me, mate, fucking great guy. Just needs to work. Just tell him to go travel. Tell him to go do something. Tell him to get out. Tell him to go get nasty with 100 women. Like whatever. Go do something. Right. So he comes back. And I said, mate, how do you feel? And he goes, well, I said, you know, maturity, a couple of things. What do you reckon? I said, what do you reckon? He says, well, I need to get maturity. I need to get out and I need to travel. I need to do something. I said, yeah, get out, go travel. You know, we travelled 8 months, went over to a youth camp in America. I did everything, right? Came back, reapplied, got in. He turned up again. They saw him turn up. They saw him that, what have you done in a year? Well, this is what I've done. This, and this. I went and did a youth camp. I did this. I did that. Fucking army froths over that shit because they're like, really? You came back? Awesome. And he says that I'm fitter, I'm stronger, I'm faster than I was last year, and I want to join, right? But you know what? He was joining Monday morning, this Monday. Sunday night, gets the news that his sister just got killed in a horse riding accident.
Fuck.
So calls me up, can't talk, in tears, just doesn't, he just lost, right? Just, Adrian, I don't know what to do. So phones buddy, the recruiting office. They say, mate, if you're not here, you can't join. So he calls me. He says, Adrian, this is what they said. I said, that's fucking horseshit. Don't worry about it. I said, this is your sister. I said, the last thing you need to worry about is the army. The army's going to look after you. That's what they do. They look after you because of what it is. It's not your grandma. It's not your best mate. It's your sister. It's your blood. You've got God on your heart. You're religious. This is what you are. This is who you are. This is the why, the man that you are. Then I called my mate Adrian. He gets onto the Griffo. He gets onto CO. He gets to ADFRA. This is the case. They're like, no dramas. We're just going to put him on a, whatever it takes. They call him up, mate. Don't even worry about it. We love you. And you know why they love him? It's because all they do is they look on his card. Fucking hell. Sub 9 minutes, 2.4, 80 push-up. That's what they do. Got rejected because maturity went out, got maturity. So straight away, that's all they did. They looked at his card and went, mate, no fucking problem.
Yeah, we want,
whatever you need. Yeah. Whatever you need to get better and to help your family right now, we want you, so we'll do whatever you need. For him to hear that, obviously the best news he's ever heard, because now he can grieve, do what he needs to do with his family, have the funeral, do all that sort of stuff, and not worry about his career. But it was because of his hard work and dedication. And
you talk about they said it because they wanted maturity. Dealing with anyone in your family dying, that's going to fucking grow up pretty quick too.
That's going to grow up pretty quick. So, and he's asking me, Adrian, what's a reasonable time? And, I just spoke to him this morning. I said, mate, reasonable time is time that you feel you're ready to make that commitment. There's a point of that time. It's shock. You're in it. You'll get over that shock, and then it's going to hit you. But you need to get into the army when the shock starts to fade and when reality sets in, so that you can keep busy, keep motivated. Keep her on your heart. For the years to come, and that's what's going to build you a stronger leader, a stronger male, and stronger for your family, because you'll be strong for them, and that's what you need, and that's what he's doing. Like he's driving his sister's car back today with all of her gear in it. Watch the video of her death, because it was a horse riding accident and there was people filming it, right? So Anne went and saw the body. All of that shit right there will age him 5 years.
Oh yeah, overnight
maturity, because he doesn't know how to deal with it, but he's got to deal with it, right? So he's faced with this is not some guy off the street, some dole bludger. This is a guy that's fucking worked hard to get where he is, and that's the type of person you want, backing you up. You want him in your workplace, you want him as a friend, you want him as everything. My best mate down in Canberra, if he called me right now and he said, Adrian, I've got a situation. It's fucked. I need you. I'll be there. Like in 2 seconds flat. There's no ifs, buts, what have you done, who's happened, what's happened. He'd just say, Adrian, I need you here. I'd be there. I get the next plane from the Gold Coast, leave my car here, leave my shit here and say, mate, I'm out. I've got to go. That's what it is. But you got to have people around you like that. And if you have people around like that, you'll always succeed, because you're not scared to make mistakes. You're not scared to try things new.
There's no judgment.
There's no judgment. There's no nothing. If he said, fuck, I just killed some poor bastard and I'm down at the police station, I need someone to talk to. I'd be like, mate, I wouldn't say, why'd you fucking kill him? I'd say, mate, I'll be there. That's what it is. I'm not going to ask all the questions that go with it. I mean, just be there. And you need people around your life like that. If you've got people, you don't have a problem in life, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I don't think you can be better than the group of people around you.
No, you can't.
And that's why, you see those people that are like, oh, fuck, he's got everything gets given to him, this and that. But it's like, he's probably just around people that are doing, like Matty's a perfect example of that. Like he's got such a good group of people around him. Yeah. And then when I was growing up, I had my mum and my dad and their friends.
You got great parents,
you know what I mean?
Like good people.
Yeah, and it becomes a lot easier to do you can take risks when you feel free of judgment. Yep. That's like the biggest thing that stops people, I think, is that they think their friends are going to think of them. That's right. If your friends are going to judge you for having a crack at something, fuck them off.
Exactly, and that's what you see that. I mean, how many times do you see that comment on? I'm not a real Facebook troll person, but you see they come up. Oh, just want to let you know I'm going to be culling a few fucking friends. Well, don't even tell people you cull them. Just fuck them off. Yeah, like, what's the fucking point? What's the point? Oh, I've got something to say. Don't say it. Just fucking do it, and don't even let them know why you cut them. They'll wonder why they'll know why you cut them, because they're a fuckwit.
And they probably don't even notice.
That's right.
Like,
it's like, oh shit.
Enough to that's what I mean. Anyway,
they oh yeah, why did you do that? Well, if you've got a friend on there that even comments about a decision that you make that you feel that you're trying to have a crack, well, what's the point? Like, really, what's the point? It's
so much easier to cut people down than it is to.
It is, and that's why the trolling is such a big thing, because they sit in a little bubble. oh, you know what? I'll fucking...
Well, they're free of consequence too.
Yeah, of course.
Because if someone says something really fucked up to me, I'm probably going to have a go at them. But when you're behind the internet, behind a fake... Like, that's what thing you see with, like, fighters and stuff when people are like, you're fucking shit, Conor. Like, man, if you saw Conor McGregor, you would get on your knees and strip his jocks from his body.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it's a good point because, and that's what I always say to, you know, that whole cyberbullying and all this sort of shit. And that's what I always say to my son. I said, mate, you are no better than anybody, but no one is better than you.
Yeah.
Nobody. I don't care who it is, what it is, nobody. I don't care whether the Queen comes over here. She ain't better than you, buddy.
Just a person.
It's just a person, and you're going to show the same respect that they're going to show you, and that's what's going to happen every day. You know, I mean, Axel got into an incident not long ago, just at school, and you know, he's full of bloody testosterone and all the rest of it, and you know, some kids calling him a bloody nigger. You know, like, you know, black fella, and yeah, you got big lips, you got this, you know. And I always tell him, look, mate, it doesn't matter. It's just words, right? But after a while, I mean, this shit piss you off, you know. And you know, one kid pushed him, and he pushed him back, and he fell over and put like bloody, you know, tiny little gash in his head. And you know what, the school didn't handle it. You know, the mum and dad went to the police station and said, you know, it's fucking assault.
Yeah. Kids fight.
Kids fucking fight,
especially
that's
when other kids call other kids fucking shit names.
So, you know, the situation is really to the principal. Really, is this what we've become? We can't defend ourselves. Axel got another incident, you know, 6 months. I said, you will not fight with anybody, ever. I said, unless you're protecting the weak, the misfortunate, you know, people in wheelchairs, disabled, mentally, you know, handicapped, whatever it might be, you will protect them until the cows come home because they are unable to do it themselves. And you are strong enough and fit enough and fast enough to be able to stand up for any of that. And that's what you will do. You know, and there's a teddy bear being thrown away from a handicapped person. He grabbed it and said, "This enough's enough," and whatever. And you know, he got into trouble because, you know, give one of these kids a bit of a
touch up.
And I said to the principal, I said, mate, if anything happens to this, I'll be on every news place. I'll be on every telecast. I'll be on every radio station till the fucking cows come home, mate. I said that you cannot allow a society not to stick up for the weak.
Yeah.
You cannot. That will not happen. If we do that, we have stooped to a whole fucking new level, a whole new level of life. You cannot do that. It's impossible, you know. And it's the same as you know, one person I had an incident at the gym, and his fucking fault. He wanted to join the gym and thought it was going to be this fantastic thing that he was able to showcase, you know, his products and all that. I'm saying, mate, I'm not a showroom, you know. Yeah. But he thought it was that. Oh, well, it wasn't what I cracked up to be. Well, you're locked into a contract, buddy. It's what it is. You're not getting out of it. So he goes on to my reviews and writes, very unprofessional, blah, 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 blah. So I got his number. I text him. I said, can't be a fucking man to come to me with a situation. You want to bring my reviews down. So I jump on his website.
Yeah, there's less consequence when it's behind a screen.
Exactly. So he gives me 1 star. So I go back and go 1 star, and then he comments, "Oh well, there's no need for that." And I said, "Well, take my fucking review off and come and face me like a man and talk to me about the situation and the issue. I'll just take the review off." Could have saved a whole lot of fucking drama just not doing that.
Yeah.
Like just approach people. Like if you got a problem, just ask them or tell them, look, this is not the issue. This is what we need to face. It's not a big issue. It's like, mate, this is what it was. They're the facts. You didn't do it. Why is that my fault? You know, but want to hide behind something else, you know, and that's what people do, I think, you know, trolling and all the rest. I can't even stand that shit anyway. It's just ridiculous, and they're just weak. People that troll are weak individuals. They just are. They're just weak individuals that, you know, haven't found themselves to try something new, or haven't failed, or haven't done anything. I think that's just the way it is.
There's just like a bit of a blanket of frustration, I think, of a lot of people too, because there really isn't much, like, there just isn't much fulfillment in what people do. Like, I get a lot of enjoyment. Like this podcast, I don't make a cent out of it, and I've spent a lot of my days doing it. It's fulfilling. I enjoy sitting down. The people that are on here are either my friends, and I haven't spoken to anyone I don't know yet. But they're people I'm interested in, or respect, or want to know their opinions. And it comes from a place of, this fulfills me. It's not that it makes money. And there's a problem in society where you have to do things for money that have zero fulfillment,
Yep.
that like nutritional value to your soul or your happiness.
That's right.
And then you get this like a immense frustration. People, that's why you get road rage in traffic. Like, we're not supposed to sit in a fucking car for 2 hours each way. Like, I've got friends that sit for 2 hours each way to there.
No wonder they're frustrated.
Yeah, it's like there is frustration that comes out of that because, but then you look like there's a bunch of cogs that have to turn in this wheel of society. But so I think that, you know, that's where it's important, where if you are in a position where you don't have fulfillment in what you do and you realize that there is this frustration,
that's right,
go for a 5K run. Do something that's hard. Join a gym. Join a club. Be a part of something. You know, you have to be the master of your own.
Oh, you do.
You know what I mean? And take control of it instead of the easy way. And like, it's just the human condition is path of least resistance, like we were saying. You have to go, fuck the path of least resistance, because the path of least resistance is trolling on Twitter or fighting with someone on Facebook where there's no consequences. You can do it from your couch. And sadness compounds are just in the same way that positivity compounds.
Exactly.
But it's like you that positivity comes from doing shit that's hard and getting a reward out of it. And like I was saying, I've been doing this 5K run on Saturdays. I fucking hate running. I hate it. Shit. It hurts my legs. And it's uncomfortable for the entire time that I'm running. But I still get up on the Saturday morning and I still do it because there's a reward that comes at the end of it. There's either a reward or there's you didn't try hard enough, which I've had both. I've had one day where I was 3 minutes quicker one day, and then the very next week I went and I was 2.5 minutes slower than the week before. So it's either a reward or it's a go back to the drawing board, buddy. But either way, there's a feeling of accomplishment that comes from it. And it's like, that's on a Saturday morning. And if you work on a Saturday, get up that little bit earlier. It's like, but it's easier to be a hater. And there's such a hater culture too.
There's a real hater culture out there, isn't there, really? I mean, it's crazy because you read some stuff. I really don't read too much of that shit, only because I just don't have time. But it's funny that it's funny to sort of read the comments when someone has an opinion, like a genuine opinion, and it's not of the person that had the previous. I mean, people just fucking fire. I mean, holy shit! Like, Bubba's the best in the world. No, he's fucking not. Fuck you. I'm like, really? There's that much hatred in?
It's crazy
in a forum like that. Like,
it's crazy to me to like. I think there's a big problem with people that base their they base an argument on an ideology. And it's like, an ideology is just that. It's an ideology. Like, what a conversation is when you've got facts and you've got facts. And then we kind of bounce the fact, and they always say the truth's in the middle. But like, when people come to me or like where they argue and they're like, like veganism, or they're just so fucking attached to this ideology. But there's a book that I've been reading by this psychologist, Jordan Peterson. And he's been in the news a bunch lately for like some stuff that he's been going through. But basically, his whole book starts off with like yin and yang, and it's basically chaos and order. And the dot in order is chaos, and the dot in chaos is order. So there's potential with both. And he says that the key to living a happy life is by living right on that line of yin and yang between chaos and order. And that these people that cling to ideologies, all they're trying to cling to is order. So when you're at, say, with like the vegan argument, you want that order to be, or like CrossFit, people that think CrossFit's that's order. It's regimented, it's safe. It's a place where, and then that it attracts people that think the way that you do.
That's right.
So then when you get someone that says that fucking F45 is the best, they're attacking your ideology, and they're trying to disrupt the order that you've created for yourself. That's and people just want order.
I know.
So it's like they're trying to, it's like such a weird thing. And then people will start, all they will do is they'll just negate every fact. Like, say if CrossFit comes out that it's the worst thing in the world for you, then they'll go they'll discard the facts. And vegans do the same thing.
Of course
they'll discard the facts, and then they protect their ideology, which essentially is just protecting order.
That's right.
So it kind of becomes a bit easier to be like, oh well, this person's really not arguing for veganism. They're arguing for order.
Yeah, that's right.
They're arguing against chaos within.
Yeah, and ideology is also has to be found by yourself whether that is good or bad for you. You can't actually. The only thing, I mean, CrossFit. You know, people say, "Oh, I'm going to go and get fit. I've joined CrossFit." I'm like, you should probably not join CrossFit. You've got to be fucking fit to join CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like the movements in CrossFit are
specific,
very specific, very strong, strong core, strong. Like even myself, training every day. I train to be functional. The word functional to me is so that I can run faster than Axel, swim faster than Axel.
Yeah.
That's my functional. That's what functional means to me. Not to be faster than you, but to be faster than him for as long as I can, right? To be able to have bigger arms and arm wrestle him for as long as I can. That's my world right there, okay? Because I'm going to try and hang on to that for as long as I can. Because I know my dad did it to me, right? So I'm like, you know what?
And you turned out all right.
Yeah, and I turned out all right, right? So that's my world. But then there'll come a time. It's the same as CrossFit, right? You do CrossFit for 10 years. Maybe you're not the strongest, but you push your body hard. You're probably going to stuff something up eventually, right?
Yeah.
So then your ideology starts to fade.
Yeah.
And you go, you know what? I kind of need something different. I need to train my body different. I'm going to go and look for something not quite as competitive. I know I'm competitive, but I'm going to go to a gym that's still got good functional movement, but they're not going to push as hard or whatever. So your ideology changes as you sort of mature through those stages of life, I think. And I'm the same. It's like, you know what? He just kicked my ass in 50-meter sprint. I probably don't need to train for that anymore. Maybe I'll just train for the 200.
Yeah.
You know? Or I'll train my body a different way or whatever that it might be.
But if you base your identity around something and it's not rooted in facts or sustainability, then you set yourself up for like a massive failure.
You do.
But if you root yourself around a fact, like if this would be like when I talk to vegans and they're like super attached to the whole vegan killing animals, whatever. I go, all right, let's not say let's not kill animals. Or the argument that really pisses me off is we're not supposed to eat meat.
Yep.
There is so much biological evolutionary evidence that we are supposed to eat meat. That we only evolved to be humans because we ate cooked meat.
Yep.
That's such a massively factually based argument. So if a vegan wants to come to me and says we're not supposed to eat meat, I go, okay, piss off. What else have you got?
Yeah.
What you can say to me though is, I don't want animals to be living in factory farms. I don't want animals to be killed cruelly. I don't want animals to have unnatural lives. Then that's something I can be down with.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole different approach.
Yeah. And that's like a factual, intellectual. There's sustainability there. There's so many good things that you can say around that argument. But you can't just get attached to this thing that things aren't meant to die. Everything is born and everything dies.
That's right.
And if a cow falls over of natural causes, bet your ass a dingo
something's going
to eat it. It has to eat it. And then it gets decomposed and it goes into the soil. And
that's just what it is.
It's how this whole thing, but it's an idea. And then when you base yourself around this idea and you get so attached to it, when that idea crumbles.
I know. Well, and I've got a lot of mates too. You know, Adrian, I'm trying this vegan thing. I'm like, mate, you can do whatever you want. You know, I've lost all this weight. Well, okay.
You know why you've lost weight? Because it's not really how we're supposed to live.
I'm like, well, we'll see how long you last.
Yeah.
You know, or we'll see what happens, I guess. Why your arm's so skinny again, you know? Like, I mean, and look, you can get a lot of protein out of being in a vegan diet. You can, but you got to eat a lot of shit. Right?
That's exactly.
You got to eat a lot of food to get that. That's
exactly the thing. So when you look at, like from an evolutionary standpoint, the big one that is funny is like, oh, well, gorillas only eat plants. Yeah, they eat plants for 15 hours a day every single day. The bones on the top of their skull have jaw muscles attached to them that wrap the entire way around their face. Exactly. If they could eat meat, well, the reason they don't eat meat is because they'd have to eat raw meat, which would mean they'd have to chew even more. So then they'd be eating raw meat for 17 hours a day to get the same calories.
Well, and chimps, chimps
bet your ass they eat meat when they can.
When they can. I mean, when something's running through the bush, they'll go out and they'll take it and they'll get the iron out of it and they'll eat it and they'll eat it raw and whatever. But they don't. It's not their primary diet. Okay, but if it's around, they'll have a go. Same as a baboon. I mean, shit, they eat berries and freaking shit all day long. But I tell you what, if there's another stray ape going across the top, they'll have a go.
It's all because it's all calories in versus calories out.
Exactly. So it's expenditure. What you're doing. I mean, you can't go and get no line eating plants all day.
No.
That's not how his body's made. You know, the lion, lioness. I mean, that's just the shit how it goes. I mean, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's kind of a. And again, you get, I think, a lot of vegans offside with all this stuff. But you know, to eat 30 grams of protein being a vegan is not the same as eating 30 grams of protein through whey.
Yeah,
it's just not. The body will synthesize and disperse of plant-based protein faster. You're gonna need more of it to have the same sort of effect, right? Not to say that's not a bad thing. But you're just gonna need more of it. So it's not equal in its way. The body will capture a whey protein or a meat protein better through the body than what, you know, than a plant protein. And you'll get all the vegans. Well, this study showed this. Okay, all right. Let's go do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100, and just do a 10K run. You go eat that way, I'll go eat this way, and we'll see how we go at the end of the day. It's just the way it is. It's just, you can't argue with that. Like,
it's
just
calories in, calories out.
You end up like looking like an Ethiopian. I mean, they're malnutrition. They're not getting no lamb. They're not getting enough meat. They're not getting, you know, the malnutrition through a lot of different substances and all the rest of it. But it's kind of way it is. We're doing a vegan protein, but we're doing it because
people want it.
People want it.
Yeah, market.
And I'll drink it too. I don't have a problem with it, but it's not my only primary source of protein. I'll take that protein, but it's not my primary source. Will I have it one on, one off? Yeah, probably. Why not? And I like the taste, and it's okay. Primarily vegan. The thing I love about vegans is that they'll pay anything.
Just to stick with it.
They'll pay anything. If it's vegan, it's organic, certified, it's come from the Himalayas. They
want it. Give it to me, baby.
Give it to me, baby. I'll pay 100.
Yeah.
It's only worth 20, but I'll pay 100.
That's classic.
You know, and
because they're so attached.
Because but it's not a bad thing. It's just their way of thinking is it's got to be the best. That's going to be the best for my body. I want to look after my body, which is not a bad thing. But again, I think the problem with it is that people take advantage of that. Yeah. You know, they really do. They overprice stuff where it doesn't actually need to be overpriced like that. It really doesn't. It needs to be priced accordingly to what it's actually worth, not to what the market will pay.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that, but clearly.
But that's just
nature of the beast.
Capitalism 101 is something's only worth what someone else will pay for it.
That's right. Yeah, you can have a set of sneakers that's made by Dunlop Volley and a pair of Nikes with a Nike stripe on a Dunlop Volley, and people will pay $100
because people want more.
That's right. They want that, and that's just how it goes. You know, so you know, it's that's what everything's only worth what people are prepared to pay. So the market, everything.
What was the inspiration behind starting HF Protein?
For me, it was to I love a beer like every other bloke. I love food. I love everything. But for me as I'm getting a little bit older, I need more protein in my diet, and I wanted a protein that I knew exactly what went in it, and I wanted to know that it wasn't full of shit and full of fillers and full of things that I had really no control over, because I didn't really need the extra thing. Meanwhile, I'll have a fucking monster. But you know, at the end of the day, when it comes to that food source, protein and all the rest of it, I wanted to know what that was going to be and how that would react with my body. And I wanted it as kind of as pure as possible, because if I'm going to eat, you know, I always say, you've got 23, 25 meals in a week. I'm going to probably most likely eat 19 to 21 of those pretty healthy.
Yeah.
But when I go at it, I'll have a good go. Am I going to drink beer during the week? No, not all the time, but Friday, Saturday, I'll have a real good push. You know,
give it a nudge.
I'll give it a real good nudge, but at the end of the day, and that's what that kind of balance is. The body can respond to that type of balance. It can respond to that 70, 30, 80, 20 rule. And that is, if you're doing everything pretty right 80% of the time, just 7 days in the week and you go to the gym 4 or 5, you're doing all right.
Yeah, if you can survive as a meth addict, you can survive drinking beer on the weekend.
That's right.
Your body's
you're doing
all
right.
right.
You're going to be okay.
You're not going to melt down.
No, you're not going to melt down. So, and that's the thing with the protein. I wanted to develop a protein that was pure, you know, clean branding, a branding that could be exported internationally, it could be accepted domestically, it could be looked upon as a non-intimidating protein from a male and a female perspective. So they'd look at it and go, that looks too, you know, aggressive. I wanted a female to look at my brand and go, that's great. And I want a male to look at it and go, that's nice. I like that. I could see that in my cupboard. It's not, you know, it's not a 10-kilo tub that I'm going to get massive.
Yeah, it looks like a paint bucket.
Yeah, it looks like a paint bucket.
Something you get in a fucking Taubman's.
Exactly, yeah. So for me, it was about developing something that was a nice, clean packet, nice, you know, a good, pure product. manufactured through a good manufacturer that was a good pre-approved manufacturer and all the rest of it. So obviously with Monster, you learn a lot about that sort of manufacturing, distribution, all the rest of it. So I wanted that. And then I wanted to develop a range that was, maybe 4 to 6 products strong, but only develop things that are probably current in the market that work, not the compound, the isolate, the everything else that goes along with it. And your body doesn't really know what the hell to grab. It can only process so much. That's the thing. That's what I always tell the people.
Yeah, well, like when you
can only process so much protein. You can only process so much of that particular type of food. And that's what I always say to people. When you're eating at night, your smallest meal of the day is for dinner.
Yeah.
Because your body needs...
You're about to go to sleep.
You're about to go to sleep.
You've got to metabolize
it.
it.
You got to metabolize it. So, you're taking in a big 500-gram steak and you ain't going to digest that. In the morning, you're not going to be even hungry because your stomach hasn't even gone through that, had a chance. So you always got to remember, whatever you're taking at night past probably 6 or 7 o'clock, your body's going to break down maybe 20-30% of that. The rest of it will be accessible, fat or whatever. I mean, your protein you can't store, it goes out the body. But when it comes to a carbohydrate, it'll convert. And there's this big thing about sugar. Well, it's not that sugar is that bad. The issue with sugar is that if you're obese, had a bad diet, and sugar's your number one, it's the fastest and quickest thing for the body to grab hold of for an energy source.
Glucose.
Yeah, the body will grab it and it will not look for anything else. Yeah. So then you crave more sugar.
You train your body to only run off that fuel source.
And then it's got that fuel source and fuel source. It's the same as coffee.
Go easy on coffee, mate. Go easy on coffee.
Yeah. No, but to have a shit in the morning. A lot of people, I gotta have my coffee. That helps me get going. That's my thing. But that's okay. It's a habit thing. It's caffeine. It gets the body started. It fuels the body, heats the body. It gets going. So that's why in the morning, unless you're exercising straight up, breakfast is the first thing you think about, apart from your missus that's next to you or whatever else it might be. But breakfast has to be the key. Your carbohydrates, proteins, you've got to have everything in that first meal, because I'll guarantee you whatever you have at breakfast will be gone.
Yeah.
By dinner time. Be gone. Not even existent.
Yeah, if I don't eat breakfast, I'm a shit show.
Oh.
I have to eat breakfast.
That's what I always say to people that are a little bit overweight. Do you eat breakfast? No, I miss that. What about dinner? Oh, yeah, fuck yeah. Big dinner.
Hook in. Yeah.
Well, why don't you make what you have for dinner, have that for breakfast? If you're missing out, have that. And then if you're not having anything, don't have anything. Have a protein shake or something at night time. You do that with people that listen. They lose 6 kilos like in 2 or 3. Oh, shit, mate. I'm losing weight. This exercise is really kicking in. I'm like, oh, you eating right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not eating at night time much. I'm just having like maybe 100 grams of salmon with a bit of salad. I'm like, well, there's your trick right there. Your body gets to settle. I'm like, always hard to make people understand that this is like an engine. Like it's empty in the morning. You got to fill it. Fill it, and it's got to go all the way through the day. But don't fill it up again at night, because the car's sitting in the garage.
Sitting in the garage, yeah.
You don't need it, all right? You're not getting it ready to go again, because if you try and get it ready to go again in the morning, it doesn't need breakfast. You need it to have breakfast, all right? Otherwise, you're just filling it up twice, and you're overfilling it.
Yeah.
And you're overfilling the car, and all of a sudden, all the fuel starts to spill out. But it's not fuel spilling out; it's fat going on your body. And it's kind of the easiest way to explain it to people. People are like, fuck, that kind of makes sense, Got 2 guys I'm working with at the moment, same thing, and they're like, this diet shit's kind of working, eh? Like,
no shit, bro.
Yeah. But it's amazing to kind of, I worked with a surgeon. I'm talking a god surgeon. Like, I mean, cream of the crop. 163 kilos. 92 kilos now. Came to me and said, we're going to lose my marriage. Fucking divorce. Makes $10 million a year. Like, God, right? Said, and he goes, I don't want to be like every other fucking trainer and this, that, and whatever. And what do you tell me I got to give up this, and this, and this. You eat, drinking 2 litres of Coke a day, 2 bottles of wine, 16 standard drinks. Okay, right. I said, no, mate. I said, I'm not going to tell you that. I said, what I'm going to do is over the next 4 months, I'm going to just wean you off a few things. But tomorrow you're going to have 1.75 litres of Coke. You're going to have that for the full week.
Yeah.
And then the next week, we're going to drop you down to 1.5. Okay, so the body doesn't immediately go into shock because it's missing out on all these sugars and everything else to keep you fueled, and you're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to actually do any work. Otherwise, you're just going to be craving too much. And then you're going to have 14 standard drinks instead of 16. But it takes the body a long time to respond to that type of effort. Because it's got to start looking at, okay, what else can I grab? Oh, no, we're not getting any sugar. It needs to go, oh, shit,
I got
sugar.
this fatty that last longer.
but I didn't get as much, and then that's what you got to train the body to do. If everybody kind of listens to that and stops being such a greedy pig, then you can actually lose weight really, really, really quick. And that's the problem with obesity and a lot of these things in our country today. I mean, obesity is on the rise tenfold, and our country as a whole is the worst in the world now.
Yeah, it's
for
pretty
obesity,
bad.
Especially in children now. So it's pretty sad actually. And then, you know, we actually had a chat to one of our local members. We were trying to go to one of the health funds and say, what if I went to, Medicare or whatever, went to MBF or whoever. I went to one of the guys, Suncorp, and said, what I want you to do is I'm going to give you 400 practitioners in this country. They're going to be certified practitioners. They're going to test BMI. They're going to test fat ratios. They're going to test everything twice a year. If you're a member of that health fund and you go get 2 checkups a year and you are under and you are looking after yourself and you've taken care and everything, we're going to rebate you 50% for your health fund. We're going to rebate you. We're going to give you money back. So at the end of the year, you can either put it in your super fund as a refund to top up your super fund. So now we're fixing the government's problems. Or you can take that as a check for Christmas. What do you want to do? If that was out today, I'd sign up because I know I keep healthy.
Yeah, because there's incentive to be fit.
It's incentive to be fit, right? It's incentive to be healthy. It's incentive to stay within a range of you can't say BMI specifically. You can say like a fat ratio. You can say like, your body fat's too high or whatever. And you got to make it reasonable based on the person itself. Or
well, I guess you could, because there's a difference between clinically obese and overweight.
That's right.
So maybe that would work if you were just under a clinical obese level.
That's right. So, but year on year, you might start on a. That's right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's done between a 5 and a 50%, or 5 and 100, right? This year I lost 2% body fat. Doctor throws it as your rebate. It gives you $20, a quarter, whatever. All right, but next year you come back and then all of a sudden you've just lost all this weight. Well, you get a couple more ticks. So not only are you doing that, but you're doing it for your family, and then you're doing it for yourself. And then everyone's like, well, but the fitter people are, the more injuries they have because they go to CrossFit. Okay, I'm like, all right, let's put that in perspective. You go to the physio costs you $80. But if you have heart disease and you go in for a bypass, that costs the government $60,000. So how many physios do you have to go to before you make $60,000? Yeah,
you can go every day for a tune-up. Get your hips stretched out.
So we're rewarding the system for staying fit. We're rewarding the system to stay healthy. We're rewarding the system to stay within this.
How do you think Coca-Cola will feel about that?
Yeah, you reckon, huh? But there's no reason why a system like that couldn't work. I can guarantee you, if some court said to me, Adrian, yep, no worries, we're going to set up a separate LLC, we're going to set up a company, and you're going to use our members. I guarantee you, you'd get 15 to 20% of those members, as an average, come straight over and say, where's that doctor? I want to get mine tested right now. You're paying $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 in private health cover. $200 depending on your family size, $200 a month, $2,400 a year. That could cost you half that.
That's massive.
It's massive.
You know, the extra house, like the mortgage that you could pay your mortgage off quicker.
School fees. You got whatever. But not only that, imagine if you put it back into a super fund. So what if the government said if you put it back into the super, we actually give you an extra 0.2.
Double it, yeah.
Or double. We give you another 10%. Or whatever you do. So if you set up a scheme based on, again, that, all right, I want that. I'm gonna strive to it. I'm gonna take myself out a 12-week challenge. And I'm going to drop that weight in that next quarter so that I get that rebate.
Yeah.
So that's for myself.
Real
it's for
money.
My family. Real money. Like I'm talking real cash. It's not like some make-believe tax money that you never get back. It's like my health fund said this. And not only that, we're actually giving doctors more work.
Yeah.
Because they got to go to that doctor. But if you go to the doctor, you get half that back. The doctor gets his cut. You get your cut. Everybody's happy. So I think we're looking at obesity as everyone's like, sugar, we need to fix this. I mean, no one's coming up with a freaking answer. No one is. Well, why don't we reward society for staying healthy then? Why don't we? Oh, it's too hard. I mean, the amount of bureaucracy bullshit you got to go through to try and do that would be a nightmare, but why not?
That's the thing that has always pissed me off when people say like, oh, it's too big of an issue. It's out of control now. It's like, if it saves one fucking person, isn't it worth it? Like if it was your kid that was going to die and you'd say, nah, you know what? like someone says, look, your kid's going to die if we can't get this through.
Yep.
Do you think you'd work hard enough to make it happen?
Fucking know you would.
Of course you would.
Of course you would. That's what we always say to people that, you know, with
there's no people have this, I guess, this thing of like, it's the government.
Yeah.
It's not, man. It's just people. Like,
Yeah,
you call this person, then you call that person, then you get
go through the
member
chain.
of Warren Engine. Like, it's a fuck around.
Yeah.
But it's just people.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's no... It's just so much easier to blame the government.
Yeah. It is. It is. And you know what? The military's like that. I mean, it's an absolute paperwork nightmare. But it's procedure. It's just what has to be done. So you might as well not jump on the bandwagon and just get in it and have a go, because that's just what it is. You know, like, for me, I seriously want to continue following it up because I feel that it could actually work.
Yeah, it's an amazing idea.
It works in other places around the world. It works in 2 other countries. I mean, South Africa's had it for like 10 years.
Oh, so there's other places that actually do a similar thing.
Yeah, well, they do a reward system. So the reward system is based on, you know, you go to a gym, clocks you in. There's a time in and a time out. It's not going to, like, you can't just go throw your tag there. It's like you're there for 45 minutes, 3 days a week, right? So they're like, okay, well, you met that requirement. Tick, you get 10% off of the shoe company down here or whatever, or you get 20% off health products, or you get whatever they mean. So there's a reward system. You get that card, and then it goes from bronze, silver, platinum. You get the platinum, you get the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So they're encouraging you to go and buy more of that particular type of thing with sporting goods, because you're going to be active, right? So why not? So they only gear it towards those things. They don't go, you're getting 20% off Hugo Boss. They don't give a shit. They want you to go and buy a tennis racket.
Yeah.
So make it relative to...
And the cycle repeats.
That's right. Go and buy a bike. Go and buy a scooter. Like, whatever is at Rebel, you can have.
Yeah.
And get 30% off, 20% off, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You know, so you're fueling the economy based on your
It's like
refund.
incentive based. And it's the same, I guess it's what you were saying before about you want the guy that's going to come to you and say, give me 50 grand base salary, I'm going to get after it.
Yep.
And that's the guy that you want. They're the guys that can actually get the job done. So it's like once you start incentivizing people.
Exactly.
You know, that's how you actually get results. That's like, you see, that's what attracts people to Wall Street.
It is.
That's what attracts people to real estate.
Boom.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're people that actually want to have a crack.
Exactly.
Well, that's what attracts people to business.
Yep.
Because, I mean, for me, the reason, like, I always thought that if I didn't do my own business, I'd go into, like, real estate or something.
Yep.
Because I wanted to be in control.
Yeah.
I don't like working for people because I don't like the feeling of not being in control of what
of your own destiny
is happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hate when there's a ceiling.
Yep.
If there's a ceiling over me, I'd rather be poor with no ceiling over me and striving against something than say earning 80 grand or 90 grand a year, but that's the cap. That's where it stops. And then your life is spent living under this umbrella of what $80,000 can afford you.
Yep.
I'd rather make $20,000 with the possibility of no ceiling.
That's right.
Because it's just a more attractive way for me to live my life.
Exactly.
Like my life. I feel like I'm living it for something.
Exactly.
As soon as you cap it out, and that's, I guess, you know, if you relate that back to this healthcare thing, then it's like, it's capped out. That's the money you pay. What's the incentive to be fit? What's the incentive to do this or that?
There is none. Yeah, that's what I mean. So, I mean, if you can actually get to that, and then, you know, maybe healthcare has got to make money, but you're not going to take it all. It
doesn't have to make fucking billions though, man. Like, that's right. You know what I mean? That's what's always really frustrated me. Like, that's a slippery slope as well, though, because you've got free market capitalism. That's the move.
Yep.
Because then the free market can tell you that, like, if someone makes a shitty product or does a shitty service, the market abandons that person.
That's right.
That's how it should work.
Yep. Exactly.
And then, as soon as you start intervening and say you need to hire this amount of employees, you need to hire this amount of this, or this CEO needs to, it's like, well, then you're not really, like, because there's a free market in terms of the product. Yeah. Then there's a free market in terms of the people running the business. Yep. And it's the same as the army. The cream rises to the crop. The guys that try the hardest are going to, so the world gets pushed forward by kind of working around that free market.
That's right.
But there is, in my mind, there has to be a point when, like, I've always thought, and I don't know if it's thought out well enough, but say a company like Apple, right? Yep. They got $500 billion in the bank, maybe more. Yep. That's a lot of fucking money. In my mind, they probably deserve that money because they created something from nothing. Yep. With healthcare, and those kind of services that you're not.
Exactly.
What you're doing is it's a gamble.
That's
So
right.
it's
You're relying on
you're
the
paying
mass.
them to you're basically taking risk away from people and saying, I've got you if you pay me this. And then you can set the price at whatever you want. And people have to pay that. And then you look at it in the States, especially, their healthcare system's out of control.
Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous.
And there's the money that it generates versus what it actually gives people is
nothing. There's no experience.
It's so bullshit.
Yeah. For what you actually pay.
And there's no free market because you're only allowed, there's 3 per state.
That's right.
So they've got this whole free market capitalism, but it's working in their favor in a really, it's really not free market at all. So, but, you know, for me to say like, well, they don't need to be making billions of dollars. I think that applies versus say like an Apple because they're making something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I think there's a
people
weird...
are buying it.
Yeah.
It's like you have...
The market's decided that an iPhone's pretty fucking rad.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and it's the same. I guess it's the same thing with life insurance. If it becomes cheap enough, people buy it, right? You might only get 100 grand, but they rely on... Okay, there might be 10% real unhealthy. There might be 20% on borderline, but if we get enough of them, it'll pay for it.
Yeah.
So we just won't offer the 1.2 million payout. We just offer like a couple $100 grand. So they're going to cost you $16 a week. People sign up for, hits the strings, need some money for the kids and blah, blah, blah. But they're just relying on volume. Volume always cures all ills. If you've got enough of it, it'll cure it. If you're making 0.1%, but you've got 1 billion people, you're making more than having 100,000 people paying 10%. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
But is there like, would you agree with the argument that companies that aren't really making products or that they're just making money off people's potential illnesses, 100%. Or I don't think that they should be allowed to make trillions of dollars or billions of dollars in profit every single quarter. It's the same with banks, man. I find that to be
Banks is a tricky one for me because, banks.
I think the healthcare is a really good example.
The healthcare is a really good example.
And
banks is a funny one because the stronger your banks are, the stronger your economy is going to be. So if you're returning a dividend, if you're returning money back to the shareholders, if you're returning that constant return as a bank to shareholders, to lenders, to whatever it might be. I mean, we got some of the most powerful banks in the world. I mean, they're obviously independent, and it's not run in a particular type of way. But should they make as much money? No. Should they make money? Yes. But I think there's that fine line with the banking. If they can justify it, look, if prime example. I mean, the Irish bloke that took over bloody Qantas. I can't remember his name. Fucking Qantas is in a world of hurt. They're paying him $4, $5, $6 million a year. But he turned it around, right?
Yeah, because Qantas was up the shit in the 90s.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, if it wasn't for him paying another $4 or $5 million, Qantas we wouldn't even have an Australian airline. Yeah. For that guy, it's the same as the CEOs that take over, certain firms, and people are like, geez, you get paid a lot. Well, kind of deserves it in a way because he produced what he said he could probably produce, and it's the same, I think, as you say for products. I mean,
I think anytime you're creating something from nothing,
well, you deserve it.
Then you deserve that because you've got something that wasn't in the world and then you've put it back into the world. And that's what...
Oh, I agree. 100%.
But I've got a problem with the healthcare because you're getting all of these dudes...
Oh, I do too.
...that are just making this crazy money. Yeah. And there's an incentive... There's money in people being sick.
Yep.
And it's the same with pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
There's money in people being sick. Yep. There's more money in people being sick than being healthy.
That's right. A lot more.
That's a problem. That's a problem when sickness becomes profit. And that's the same why there shouldn't be privatised jails.
Yep.
Because then incarceration is linked to profit.
Exactly.
So we've got these negative aspects of society that are linked to making money.
That's right.
And that's what I have an issue with.
Yeah, I'm a big firm believer in that as well. We're paying a Medicare levy as a portion of our tax. I don't get a doctor. I mean, if I did, it'd be great. If I had an accident or whatever, emergency care or whatever that it might be. But same with private health.
Yeah, like heart disease and things like that.
Yeah,
well, this is a good example. Is when I got sick.
Yeah.
I flew from America. I busted my kidney.
Yep.
I didn't know I only had one kidney.
Yep.
I get to the hospital.
Yeah.
I get a phone call. They said, "Look, you've got one kidney.
Yep.
It's blocked.
Yep.
You could die.
Yep.
Get in an
sorted.
ambulance right now. Go to the hospital." I spent 7 days in Adelaide Hospital.
Yep.
Had a surgery.
Yep. Fixed it.
No, I didn't fix it. Just got me good enough to fly back to Australia to see a specialist.
Okay. Yep.
I was back to Brisbane.
Yep.
That was free. I walked into Adelaide.
Yep.
And I walked out.
Yep.
That wasn't me abusing my body to the point where that was a critical,
legitimate. Yeah, that's right.
Walked in, walked out, didn't pay a cent.
Yep.
Very thankful for that.
Yep.
Then went to Brisbane, saw a specialist.
Yep.
Went through the hospital. I was a category 1.
Yep.
So they had to deal with it ASAP. Got another surgery.
Yep.
Went back. Got another surgery after that. 3 surgeries. I'd spent a total of maybe 3.5 weeks in hospital.
Yep.
Didn't pay a cent.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That is a luxury in modern society.
Massive luxury.
In Australia to do that.
Yep.
But then when you start getting into that whole private healthcare and there's money in keeping people sick.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think it was on the news yesterday or whatever. It's like the amount of emergencies that they have to see now over a week has risen in the last 10 years by nearly 300%. But they're actually not emergencies. They could actually just go to a doctor.
That is a big
That's problem. A big issue. It's a massive issue because it's taking up a shitload of time and effort for people that generally don't need to be there, right?
Yeah.
Cut, splinter, feeling a bit ill. Really? Go fucking see a GP.
Go to a doctor, mate.
Go have a couple of Panadol, mate. Like, I mean, you don't know all these situations, but I mean, that was a prime example. I mean, when I was over in the States, it's a prime example. When I was over in the States, when I broke my back, come off the bike and whatever, no healthcare. I had insurance, so that's what saved me. The company had insurance, so that they paid for everything, obviously. But walked into emergency care, hunched over, like white as a ghost, just so much pain, back had just cramped up so much. But I actually walked in there, bent over, and I couldn't stand up straight because my back was in such a spasm. I sat down there. I sat in emergency for 45 minutes, vomited. And they're like, "Mate, you're all right."
You're all right, yeah.
Oh, mate,
I'm not that, some shit.
I'm not that fucking bottom feeder, mate.
Yeah.
I need to see a doctor. You need to get me in there. You know, on the X-ray, mate, you've broken your back, L3, L4. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you walking here? How long have you been out there for? Again, it's just that people get so immune to just sit over there. We'll be with you soon.
Take a number.
Unless your head's cut off or your arm's cut off, I mean, they're not going to see you. That's what it is, you know. And then obviously got looked after and all the rest of it, but it's the same as it is here. But just people, even when you go in an emergency room today and you look around, it's not an emergency.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's just, and it's taking up a lot of time, obviously. But it was funny because they were saying that last night. Well, they've risen like 300% over a week.
Yeah, people just don't get more accident prone. Like, you know what I mean? There's a trend.
Well, actually, it should be less.
Yeah,
as a society, we're less active. So
that's the thing. Like when we were talking about, like I guess circling back to the protein and stuff. Like there really isn't an excuse anymore to live a super unhealthy lifestyle.
No.
Like back in the day, before, you know, when you were still allowed to advertise cigarettes, like you come full circle of cigarettes, we just didn't know.
No.
And people didn't do the research. It takes time to do the, you know, to see a cultural effect of something.
That's right. Yeah.
So like when you start McDonald's, the guy who started McDonald's, Ronald McDonald, probably had a pretty good, like he probably had some pretty pure intentions.
Yeah, so give some good fast
food quickly to
Yep.
people that don't have a lot of money,
Yep.
and create a restaurant experience
Yep.
for people who can't afford to go to restaurants.
Boom,
Let's just have a crack at that. And then that was probably good intentions. Culturally, they didn't know that they would get, not that McDonald's responsible for people being obese, but that doesn't help when people, like legitimately, there's still people in America that would eat McDonald's for the majority of their meals per week.
Every
and then
day,
when you see, like, they call it a food-like meal, not actual food. Because there's barely any nutrition in it.
Yeah.
So
full
it's like,
sugar,
but we just didn't know enough. And then when you would get people, like doctors for years would say low fat, low salt.
Yep.
Like you need salt.
Yeah.
You need salt in your body. You need fat is a more
no added salt, no added sugar, you know, whatever the food produces or whatever that might be, you know. But yeah, I mean the sugar, the salt, the sodium, the cholesterol, the fats. That's why the nutrition. That's why everybody That's why everybody on Instagram is a nutritionist.
Yeah.
And there's so much food posting, right? This is it. No, this is it. No, this is it. This is what you should do. No, this is what you should do.
Yeah, that's actually, as I say, that we have so much information. We probably have more misinformation than ever too.
We do. And we actually have too much information because it confuses people too. They're like, well, I'll try this for 4 weeks and that didn't work. I'll try this other one for 4 weeks. I'll try that. This guy says I should just be eating protein, no carbs all day because this is what it'll do. You know, it doesn't matter. I'll fight anybody any day in an argument about carbs. The body needs carbs. That's your primary energy source. It just is. That's just what it is. So people sit back, they'll come to me something, oh yeah, well, I'm on this no carb, low carb diet. Oh, well, how are you going to function? You need to function. Just your calories out need to be more. Like, just don't be such a pig. Yeah. Like, don't have your steak and chips. Forget the chips. Have your steak. Have a bit of salad, or do something different with you.
Yeah, there's so many ways to, like, if you want to lose weight, put more calories out than you put in. If you want to gain weight, put more calories in than you put out.
Put out. That's right. It's
like
a
bodybuilders aren't running marathons.
Bodybuilders and strongmen, I mean, they're
just
putting,
eating and eating
they're putting
and eating
4,000 to 7,000 calories a day into there. You know, like top rowing guys, the top swimmers are putting out 6,000 calories a day in there. All they do is eat. You know,
because they're putting it out.
Because they're putting it out. I mean, they're not obese. They're just putting a huge amount of work into what they actually do. You know, and I'm the same. I mean, if I'm working harder, I eat more.
Yeah.
But I don't eat excessively if I'm not. It's just the balance between what you do within your own life. And as I always say to people, make it relative. You don't grab a bottle of soda water and drink all of it before you eat. I guarantee you won't eat as much.
Yeah.
So because the body takes at least 15 minutes to respond to food. So by that time you've hooked in. And if you can't stop yourself, or you're not full within 15 minutes, you're going to probably eat more than what you probably need to. And that's why they say,
yeah, your stomach's about the size of your fist,
right? And then we expand it 6 times, right? So and that's why when you see hot dog competitions, eating competitions, they eat as fast as they can because the brain will shut them off if they can't get that down in their gob as fast as possible. Right? It'll just shut them off. Just say, mate, we're just too full. We can't take it anymore. But the stomach's pretty durable. But if you'd eat your handful, your fist size 4 to 5 times a day, or 5, 6 times, if your output's out and you're putting out a few calories, you're not going to be fat. You just won't.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's just what it is.
And there's a difference that people need to distinguish between calories and nutrition.
Yeah.
Because there's what, like for argument's sake, 1,000 calories in a cheeseburger or a double
Big Mac or whatever.
All right, and then you could have a roast lamb with vegetables, and you could have a protein shake and take on 1,000 calories.
Yeah, that's right.
But the nutritional value,
it's very different.
What your body is going to take out of those calories is a totally different if it was a cheeseburger.
Correct.
So it's like what weighs more, 1,000 pounds of feathers or 1,000 pounds of bricks?
Yeah, that's
Both
right.
weigh 1,000 pounds.
Exactly the same thing.
One's just going to be easier to move.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Then the other one, yeah, that's right. And I think that's the primary thing that people need to remember too, is that if you can keep it low sugar, keep your protein intake. I mean, people need to survive. Guys need about 1.25 grams of protein per kilo. Women, not as much, but they're still, a gram or gram 1.15, and it's just because their muscle masses are different. But you need to have that to actually just retain muscle, retain growth, have recovery. If you're working hard, you're going to need, for guys, you're going to need 2 to 2.25 grams of protein per kilo. If you try and do that in a meal, you can see how much protein that takes. It's a shitload of protein, right? But that's how you need to fuel the body in recovery and muscle recovery and all the rest of it. And that's kind of how it works. So, like you have the top Olympians and rowers and all. I mean, these guys are 200, 250 grams of protein a day. I mean, that's just what it is. So you do need to. People go, oh, well, you don't need as much protein. I eat about 30 grams. Well, probably not 30 grams. You actually probably more than that because your milks and all the rest of it. But you got to make it relative to based on what you're actually working out as well. So I always say to guys, oh, no, I don't have protein shakes. I just try and get the protein, but I'm working out 6 days a week, but I'm not gaining any muscle. Well, of course you're not.
You're not giving it what it needs to.
You're not giving it what to actually build, to pull and then to repair, pull and repair. I mean, that's what to get a muscle bigger, you need to actually break it. You need to stretch it. That's right. Strain and fix, and that's how it actually builds. And a lot of people kind of miss that dynamic, I think, a lot of the time. But yeah, I think, and again, with the protein range, we're, same as vegan. I mean, we're doing, an organic based silk rice, brown silk rice plus pea protein, both organic, but it's a good, clean protein. And it doesn't taste like shit, which most vegan proteins taste. Not that it's their fault, it's quite earthy. I mean, if you have plant-based proteins and all the rest of it, there's some good ones out there. And we are going to do a pre-workout. We're going to do a stim and stim-free, caffeine-free, not out of control 300 milligrams of caffeine per serve, but enough to, get the body started and all the rest of it. You don't want to not follow what works either. You've got to make it relative. But, as I say to people, have a scoop of protein, of vanilla protein or something, on your breakfast in the morning. It's 30 grams right there. Right there. So you get 30 grams. Saves you having 5 eggs and some toast, so you can put it on your cereal or whatever. Have one at night before you go to bed if you've exercised in the afternoon. There's 60 grams right there, just pure protein. So, you're giving your body what it actually needs, and then just rely on the rest of the food sources that you have during the day and whatever to pull protein from your nuts and, your fishes and all the rest of it, and then you'll do okay. You'll stay healthy. But, you've got to have a certain amount of protein to be able to repair and to be able to continue growth as well. So, but, the international, with the protein itself too, we've really tried to develop it more so, I think, for, the international market, because the international market is I think with China and Japan is kind of untouched as well. They get a lot of crap over there, but it's very hard to get into China as well when it comes to protein.
Yeah, just any product in general, really. Yeah.
It's got to be certified. It's got to be. You got to have a 4-digit code for it. You got to, you got to get in there. So that's what we've done and built and designed is more about around that as well. So yeah.
So where can people find the protein, mate?
hfprotein.com.au. You can go on there. You can purchase. You can go on Shop Now. We have 2 different products on there right now. We've got another 2 ranges coming pretty soon. So yeah, you can go on there, Shop Now. Gives you all the information, your nutritional information. We charge $65 for per kilo, so it's a little bit cheaper than you'd find in retail. But again, we're not cutting the margins with a retailer, the middleman, so you can get a little bit better. And it's a good tasting, protein. So we've never had a complaint. I mean, everyone loves it and everyone thinks it's pretty amazing. So that's the best feedback. And we've probably really tried to not go too hard on it because we want as much feedback. First. Yep. Don't go into the marketplace with 2 ton of this gear and then everyone goes, it's shit.
Yeah.
Start with 400 or 500 kilos first and then go, what, this is some good stuff right here. This is what we like. So no, it's good and it's going well and we've got a good team behind it as well. So it's good. And
so if anyone wants to talk to you about any fitness, any of the stuff that we've kind of covered on the podcast, where can they reach you through social media and things like that?
So yeah, social media, they can go on huntsfitness.com.au. We have an Insta page as well, so it's under Hunts Fitness as well. We've got and my phone number's there on there as well. So people call me all the time about different tips, different things, and what should I do? I want to compete a marathon. I can always help out with that. Or you can do it at info@huntsfitness.com.au as well, and then we always respond to those as well.
Yep, and so you've definitely got a history of training elite people. Yeah. So I think that people can, if you're doing training stuff with the army, you've probably got a pretty decent base there.
Yeah, no, it's just it's a functional base as well. It'll get you to where you need to be, and it'll get you, there safe and injury free as well. So it's good.
Perfect. Well, I've enjoyed this podcast very much, and hopefully I'll do it again before I go back to America.
All right, good on you.
Cheers, mate. Legend.